12 martial artists attacked at the same time, forming a formidable assault that was accompanied by roaring winds. Anyone would have to shore up proper defenses in the face of such an assault. However, the four from Earth's Gate was indifferent, looking at the rest as though they were a joke. Just as the 12 men from the Warriors department reached them, the 4 men reacted at the same time. The bald man raised his hand to match the blow from a martial artist. A loud crack was heard and the bones in that person's hand were shattered instantly. Following up with a kick, he was sent flying backward and fell to the floor, remaining deathly still. Following that, with a creepy laugh, he opened his fist and hit another beside him with his palm. The enormous strength caused that martial artist to tremble throughout his body and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The others were similar. Their attacks were very quick, powerful and extremely ruthless. They annihilated the 12 martial artists. 1 minute later, the 12 lay pitifully debilitated on the floor, half dead. The Warriors department's martial artists sure are useless. Trash. The bald man laughed, then kicked the martial artist beside him away. He slowly walked up to Yi Lingchen. I never thought that in just 10 years, your martial arts would have fallen so far back to be in such a sorry state. Lin Ruoyu's face turned slightly pale. You're not normal members of the Earth's Gate. Hee, how would an average member have the ability to invite Miss Lin? We're all silver-ranked members, he said in a deep voice that made Lin Ruoyu's heart fall into despair. Earth's Gate's silver-ranked members were equivalent to the martial artists that were enrolled in the 4 special training camps. One should know that even Lin Ao had merely took part in Coiled Dragon's training camp but had failed to join Coiled Dragon. These people were not someone the average martial artist could fight with. Furthermore, there were 4 of them. They were in a nasty situation. It would be a lie to say that she was unafraid. Lin Ruoyu's heart was pounded, feeling vulnerable. Although she had trained with Lin Tianhua from young and her talents were above average, her opponents were from Earth's Gate. They were silver-ranked members at that. Even Lin Tianhua was injured by Earth's Gate more than once. She heard her grandfather talk about their menace. If one were to fall into their hands, the outcome could only be described as dreadful. Moreover, Yi Lingchen was by her side now. Her grandfather still required his treatment, but Yi Lingchen had to utter those provocative words. These people would never let him go. What can I do? Lin Ruoyu was sweat bullets while she panicked. Why are you here this time? Lin Ruoyu asked through gritted teeth. You will know in due time. The bald man walked closer step by step, as though he were a cat toying with its prey. You don't have to try buying for time. I have everything under control here. The nearby reinforcements are all lying down here. The others will take at least half an hour to get here. You're trying to use me as a hostage to get to my grandfather? A dim flash of realization crossed through Lin Ruoyu's eyes. Hee, enough of your nonsense. The bald man stood still, looking down on Yi Lingchen and threatened him. Little B****, do you have anything to say to me now? Yi Lingchen kept mum. He had never heard of Earth's Gate, yet after all that had happened, he felt a chill gripping at his heart, changing his worldview. Those on the floor were all martial artists. They had high positions, and every one of them was a praiseworthy existence to the average person. Earth's Gate's strength was undeniable, but the methods they employed were harrowing. 12 martial artists were crushed, leaving them half dead. Ruthless, absolutely cutthroat. That was his first time witnessing such a cruel world. Too scared to talk? The bald man jeered at Yi Lingchen's silence. To him, Yi Lingchen was stupefied with fear, stunned on the spot. He had witnessed that sort of situation so often that it was an ordinary occurrence to him. When faced with death, most people would be scared speechless. It was good enough if they did not crap or pee in their pants. Shaking his head in disappointment, he continued walking towards Yi Lingchen. Wait, Lin Ruoyu was distraught. I'll go with you. He has nothing to do with this. Let him leave. Hee, you have nothing to bargain with me now. The bald man laughed condescendingly. Lin Ruoyu felt hopeless. In her panic, her breathing had turned jagged. She looked towards Yi Lingchen with her mouth open, as though trying to say something. However, Yi Lingchen just stood on the spot with his eyes narrowed. Seemingly lost in his thought, he seemed oblivious to the encroaching danger. The bald man stood about 2 meters away from Yi Lingchen. His glare was fixated on Yi Lingchen and his expression turned vile. Little B****. Never had others dared to mock Earth's Gate. Now it's time for you to kneel and regret your actions. Just as he finished, he extended his hand, grabbing at Yi Lingchen's shoulder. His big palm carried frightening strength, as though it was the hand of a grim reaper, announcing Yi Lingchen's death sentence. He wanted to shatter Yi Lingchen's shoulders and break the bones in his legs with that hand, leaving Yi Lingchen in anguish. 1 meter, half a meter, 1 foot. His hand was not fast, slowly approaching Yi Lingchen, almost at the point of touching his shoulder. At that instant, the bald man's lips curled upwards into a vicious smile with a glimmer of anticipation in his eyes. He could almost see Yi Lingchen begging him on his knees, face filled with hopeless despair. The other three looked indifferent to the situation. In their eyes, Yi Lingchen was less than a dog. However, the next instant, the bald man's smile froze, his eyes wide in disbelief. An unimaginable strength had clamped down on his wrist, rendering it unable to move for even an inch. At the same time, Yi Lingchen, who had his head lowered the entire time, looked up. Without any warning, his calm gaze seemingly turned into a tsunami. Cold sweat was forming on the bald man's forehead. He could not move his hand, nor had he dared to. A sense of danger loomed over him from Yi Lingchen. It felt like a mountain was pressing onto him. There was a deafening silence. At that moment, it was as though time had stopped. Earth's gate. Is it that great? The calm voice caused the bald man's pupils to dilate. Filled with absolute fear, goosebumps covered his entire body. He felt that his heart almost jumped out of his body. What's the matter? The other three men scowled. That was supposed to be an inconsequential incident. Why the sudden pause? In their eyes, Yi Lingchen had merely placed his hand on the bald man's wrist, then all motion stopped. Was he held back? No, that was impossible. Crack. The next instant, a clear resounding crack could be heard. The sound drifted into everyone's ears and echoed in that empty field. That was definitely the sound of bones breaking. Where did that sound come from? Lin Ruoyu was stunned, so were the other three men. They all looked at Yi Lingchen and the bald man, each showing a different expression. What are you doing? Stop wasting time and get rid of that kid, one of the men blurted impatiently. The bald man did not reply, or to be more accurate, he was unable to reply. At that time, the bones in his wrist were like cotton, completely crushed to bits by Yi Lingchen. His mouth was agape, but the excruciating pain prevented him from making any sound. He could only stare at Yi Lingchen in horror, then fell kneeling to the ground in front of Yi Lingchen. Knelt down. The other three men from Earth's Gate were momentarily dazed, unable to believe what had just happened in front of their eyes. Finally, the bald man recovered from his daze. Trembling from the pain, his face was twisted and cried out in a frenzied scream. Bright red blood flowed down from his arms, staining the floor with a sickening red color. That was his blood. Ever since he joined Earth's Gate, his hands were smeared with the blood of countless victims. However, that was the first time his blood was spilled in front of him. The wrist on both his arms flopped limply by his sides, leaving only the skin holding it together. A gruesome sight to behold. You guys are full of sh*t. Yi Lingchen shook his head, calm as ever. It was as though what he just did was something as simple as breathing. The other three men's morale crumbled in the face of the frenzied screams. Their eyes darted onto Yi Lingchen's face. An expert? They did not expect that kid to be an expert that was so well hidden. Each of their faces showed signs of fear and their hearts trembled. However, their polished combat instincts told them that they had to risk everything to take him down. At the same moment, all three of them initiated an attack on Yi Lingchen. They attacked from 3 different directions, forming a triangle. Their bodies were agile as a rabbit but had the strength of a tiger. With a knife-like gaze, they swung their fists at Yi Lingchen's head. Against Yi Lingchen, they did not dare let their guards down. They poured all their strength into that fist attack. Even if it could not kill him in one hit, they needed to have Yi Lingchen lose his ability to fight. As a member of Earth's Gate, they naturally knew that in times like that, they had to be as ruthless as possible. Their huge fists stirred up a cold wind in the air, causing a strong current of air to crash against Yi Lingchen's face. HMPH, against their attacks, Yi Lingchen stood still. A flash came across his eyes and his lips curled into a haughty smile. In an instant, both his hands raised and swung outwards. Bang! His 2 fists clashed head-on with 2 of the Earth's Gate's members. Fist against fist. A thunderous sound erupted and boomed outwards, sending people's hearts racing. Crack! Sounds of cracking bones could be heard following the impact. The next moment, both of the Earth's Gate's members were like duckweed in a pond, flying backward. The bones in their fists were completely shattered and the force even went all the way up their entire arm. Skin was torn, bones were shattered. The scene was a mess of blood and gore. The two of them flew well over 10 meters in the air before falling. Veins could be seen popping on their forehead and their eyes were bloodshot. Their face appeared ghastly from pain as they continually gasped for air. As they stared at Yi Lingchen, their eyes were filled with abject terror. The other person attacked Yi Lingchen's back instead with a terrifying expression on his face. With a flip of his wrist, an elegant dagger appeared in his hand. Whoosh! That dagger was like a venomous snake. Quick as lightning, it struck straight at the back of Yi Lingchen's head. In half a second, Yi Lingchen's head would split apart and his brain matter splattered all over. That person licked his lips, enjoying the moment. However, Yi Lingchen's figure in front of him suddenly shifted, leaping into the air, out of his reach. A roundhouse kick. Yi Lingchen turned his body in midair, landing both his feet on that person's head. Bang! The tremendous force behind the kick deformed that person's face. The bones in his face could be heard cracking. Unable to make a sound, he fell to the floor with a thud and stopped moving. Silence loomed over the area. The people from Earth's Gate were gripped by fear. How can he be that strong? They stared at Yi Lingchen in disbelief. In that previous exchange, they felt an indescribable strength, as though smashing an egg against a rock. That was beyond a human strength. That pressure was beyond what they felt from their leader. He's so young, how can he obtain such terrifying strength? The time Yi Lingchen delved into martial arts was actually quite short. However, his proficiency in them were all raised to 100% proficiency. That was equivalent to a rookie obtaining the best martial arts technique. It would drastically increase the training's efficiency. For an average person to learn Kung Fu, they had to start from the basic moves. Moreover, the inaccuracy of those moves would lead to a very low rate of improvement. On the other hand, Yi Lingchen had no such issues. His theoretical knowledge was immediately perfect. Not only was he learning advanced moves, each of his practices was hundreds of times more effective than others. Naturally, that led to his quick progress. Furthermore, the Arhat fist that he trained had generated a sliver of chi in his fists. It helped develop his arm strength and power. To teach them a lesson was as simple as breathing. Lin Ruoyu remained stunned from the very beginning. At that time her eyes were wide opened, stupidly staring at Yi Lingchen. You're that strong? She was covering her mouth, her eyes turning watery, filled with surprise. She knew that Yi Lingchen knew martial arts and was good at it. However, she had no way of knowing the full extent of his strength. She had always thought that Yi Lingchen was only slightly stronger than the average martial artist, never expecting him to be at such a level. Those four were silver-ranked members of Earth's Gate, and they were defeated by Yi Lingchen in just a few exchanges? It was like a dream. Yi Lingchen did not speak. Instead, he sent the bald man in front of him flying with a kick. Following that, the others from Earth's Gate were given similar treatment. He knocked them all out, completely incapacitating them and made sure they were incapable of escaping. Yi Lingchen had witnessed their viciousness. A wise man foresees and mitigates risks. He would try his best to eliminate all potential problems before they come to pass. How long more until reinforcements arrive? These people are dangerous. We need to control them properly, questioned Yi Lingchen. Should be soon, replied Lin Ruoyu. She let out a sigh of relief, feeling as though she went straight to heaven from hell. Lingchen, you've once again helped my Lin family. I don't know how to express my gratitude. You're welcome. Yi Lingchen smiled nonchalantly. Right then, a group of birds in the forest hastily took flight. They were rushing away as though scared of something. Chirp 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 chirp. A string of bird calls triggered a feeling of unease in them. However, these bird calls caused Yi Lingchen's heart despair. In his ears, that was the bird's language. Fellow birds, run away quickly, someone is coming, he's holding a gun. Fly away, someone is out killing birds, gun. Yi Lingchen's heart trembled, an ominous feeling washed over him. Without time to think further, he rushed sideways and grabbed Lin Ruoyu along, falling onto the ground and started rolling away. Peefed. At the same time, a low muffled sound could be heard. Something left a hole on the ground and stirred up some dust. There was a sniper with a silencer nearby. Yi Lingchen's heart pounded crazily. If not for his quick reflexes, either him or Lin Ruoyu would have been shot. The sudden hug from Yi Lingchen had startled Lin Ruoyu. She blushed and felt like a little deer was running about in her heart. However, the sound of the gunshot that followed helped her realize the reason for Yi Lingchen's actions. She laid in Yi Lingchen's arms with a flushed face, feeling both worried and sweet at the same time. Both of them held onto each other tightly as they rolled on the floor, not daring to pause for a moment. That sniper would wait for another chance to shoot. Yi Lingchen tried his best to control his breathing and rolled for cover under a small mound with Lin Ruoyu. In that desolate location, even trees were sparse, making it a perfect spot for sniping. If Yi Lingchen and Lin Ruoyu just stood there, they would be like target dummies. What can he do? Yi Lingchen gasped for air. Both of them were stuck close together with Yi Lingchen laying atop Lin Ruoyu, not daring to move an inch. The small mound was really low, barely reaching half a meter. Furthermore, it was really small, just enough to hide the two of them. They could only try their utmost best to lower their body profile. If they showed their heads, they would be shot by the sniper. Lingchen, what do we do now? Lin Ruoyu asked in a low voice. She could almost feel Yi Lingchen's warm breath hitting her face. I'll think of a way. Yi Lingchen tried his best to take in the view of his surroundings, formulating a plan to escape. Following that, he strained his ears to listen. The birds in the sky flew by continuously. Along with that, he heard the birds' frantic words as they flew away from the sniper. I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. Help, that human is so ugly, especially that mustache above his lips. He's such a coward, hiding between that big rock and tree even though he has a gun. Aiya, come look over there. There's a man and woman hiding. The man is lying on top of the woman in public. So perverted. There were many birds, which led to many random voices mixed in his hearing. However, Yi Lingchen did manage to obtain a few important pieces of information. First of all, that man had a mustache. Secondly, he tried looking up as high as he could. Based on the direction the birds were flying from, he made out a general direction. There was a huge rock jutting outwards over there, surrounded by the cover of trees. It was the perfect hiding spot. You stay here. Don't show your head, Yi Lingchen ordered as he started removing the weights on his wrists and ankles. You mustn't go out. Lin Ruoyu's expression changed drastically, holding tightly onto Yi Lingchen's clothes. She looked extremely worried and her eyes were red. It's fine. He won't be able to kill me, Yi Lingchen answered with a nonchalant smile. With the weights removed, his entire body felt free. The weights added up to a total of 70 kgs. Yi Lingchen made a rough estimation that his speed would be at least 2 times faster than usual. Paired with his parkour skill, his speed would be close to flying. Can't we just stay here? Our reinforcements will be arriving soon. Lin Ruoyu looked at Yi Lingchen. That's a gun. Furthermore, it's a sniper from Earth's Gate. He's definitely above average. You'll die if you show your head. If we have reinforcements, the Earth's Gate would have theirs too. If they are held back by this sniper and bring a few more people along, we will die for sure, Yi Lingchen explained calmly. He took a deep breath, then locked his gaze with Lin Ruoyu. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Lin Ruoyu stared intently at Yi Lingchen, then suddenly leaned in towards Yi Lingchen. Their faces were already almost touching. With that move, their lips met. My god, did I just get my kiss stolen? Are all girls this proactive now? 3 seconds later. You must be careful, Lin Ruoyu muttered as she let go off Yi Lingchen. Yi Lingchen savored the taste on his tongue. You had strawberry ice cream, didn't you? I had one secretly before I picked you up. No wonder it tasted like strawberries. He did not expect Lin Ruoyu, the daughter of a prominent family, to have liked such things. After taking a deep breath, Yi Lingchen picked up a piece of rock and threw it high above his head. Peefed. A muffled sound could be heard. In an instant, that rock was destroyed. A gleam flashed through Yi Lingchen's eyes and he leapt up like a cheetah, dashing forward with all his might. His speed was too fast. In a gust of wind, the surrounding scenery flew past him in a blur. That speed was already beyond a human's limitation. If Yi Lingchen were to take part in the Olympics, he would send the world into a frenzy. Behind the big rock, that man with a mustache narrowed his eyes and fixated his unblinking gaze on Yi Lingchen. When an ordinary person were to follow a moving object at high speeds, they would easily lose track of its direction. That was not the case for the mustached man. he was destined to be a sniper. In Earth's Gate, he was the cream of the crop of their sniper team. Once a target was in his sights, they were doomed to die. The corner of his mouth turned into a contemptuous smile. His index finger hooked onto the trigger and the crosshair trailed Yi Lingchen's movements. Yi Lingchen may be fast, but that was not enough to escape his aim. You think you can escape my aim with speed? Dream on. The mustached man licked his lips. That was a habit of his, like a predator anticipating the taste of its prey. Just as he was ready to pull the trigger, Yi Lingchen had reached a tree. Using his arms and legs, he climbed up the tree effortlessly. The mustached man frowned, thinking that he might be imagining things. How could someone be that good at climbing? It was almost supernatural. Following that, Yi Lingchen dropped from the tree and sprinted to another tree, again effortlessly climbing up that tree. Yi Lingchen was like Tarzan, jumping directly from that tree to another one. That's King insane. The mustached man's heart skipped a beat. Even monkeys can't climb at that speed. Seems like this will be a test of my skills in shooting. He quickly composed himself and accustomed himself to Yi Lingchen's rhythm, continuing his aim. At the same time, he realized something. Yi Lingchen was approaching him. Is he trying to counterattack? The mustached man scoffed in his mind. Sniping had a very strict range requirement. While shorter distances were not suited for sniping, it did not mean that a longer range would be better. Every sniper had an optimum sniping range. With Yi Lingchen's encroachment, he would soon enter the mustached man's optimum sniping range. He might not be able to kill a target with one bullet at long distances, but once the distance was closed, he was confident he could hit the head in one shot. Finally, Yi Lingchen once again climbed up a tree and followed up with an abnormal leap. In the mustached man's eyes, Yi Lingchen was in the air, free from any cover. Yi Lingchen raised his hand, as though trying to swing his fist in the air. Punching air? Are you kidding me? You've read too many novels. Are you expecting to shoot out chi or something? He hooked onto the trigger, getting ready to shoot in the next instant. However, an invisible force suddenly rushed forth. It felt like a typhoon, distorting his face with the force, swaying trees. He could not open his eyes. Boom! Immediately after that, a bomb-like explosion could be heard. The rock he hid behind made a loud crack and his body was sent flying off along with the explosion. Peefed! He spat a mouthful of blood. Looking down at his chest, he noticed a fist-sized hole. That single punch not only went through the rock he was hiding behind, it even pierced through his body. The power of it was terrifying. He continually coughed up more blood from his mouth and stared at Yi Lingchen in disbelief, exclaiming, Projection of inner force. Yi Lingchen frowned as he watched the mustached man fall slowly to the ground. Projection of inner force? What did his last words mean? The huge commotion caused Lin Ruoyu to scream as she raised her head out of fright. Only when she saw that Yi Lingchen was fine did she let out a sigh of relief and ran towards him. You did this? Lin Ruoyu stared at the fist-sized hole in the rock with her eyes wide open, at a loss for words. At first, she thought that martial arts were already rare enough. However, after this incident, she realized that she still had much to learn. This was beyond the limits of a human, something inhuman. Yi Lingchen nodded without denying. This is Kung Fu too? Lin Ruoyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva and asked. I guess so, Yi Lingchen answered. Do you know what's the inner force? Inner force? I've only heard about inner strength in wuxia novels. Lin Ruoyu shook her head, then continued. If it's something related to Kung Fu, my grandfather should know. Honk honk honk. Finally, another group of martial artists arrived, a total of 15 men. After assessing the scene, they were all taken aback and immediately treated it with all seriousness. The 4 from Earth's Gate were escorted back to the Warriors Department headquarters under heavy guard. Meanwhile, Yi Lingchen and Lin Ruoyu gave some simple statements and headed towards the Lin family. Along the way, Lin Ruoyu's face was growing redder by the moment. She took occasional peeks at Yi Lingchen, with hints of embarrassment showing on her face. Please don't misunderstand. It was too dangerous earlier. That kiss was only a form of blessing. After some hesitation, she added, the pure type between friends. Yi Lingchen, although skeptical, could only nod along and decided to keep quiet. That fist technique from earlier carried enormous strength and could be considered his killing move. At the same time, the energy it sapped from him was also terrifying. It almost drained him of all the arhat fist force that he had been storing all these while. The after effects were slowly showing itself. His arms were overexerted, feeling as though they were filled with lead, having almost no strength left in them. He needed some time to recover. Seeing Yi Lingchen's lack of reaction, Lin Ruoyu pouted and stewed in a corner. TCH, daft guy. The Porsche sped on along the way. To avoid running into more trouble, Lin Ruoyu had driven faster than usual. At the Lin family, everyone was standing in the living room. Looks of worry creased their faces as they anxiously waited. "They're back!" shouted Lin Ao. His eyes grew bright, finally feeling relieved. "Ha ha ha, brother Yi, I knew it'll be fine with you around." Lin Ao smiled as he stepped forward to greet Yi Lingchen and hugged him. "Lin Ao, watch your manners and respect Grandmaster Yi." Lin Shanhe immediately berated him, then smiled at Yi Lingchen. "Grandmaster Yi, thank you so much. Our Lin family is once again indebted to you." "Uncle, you're being too reserved," Yi Lingchen replied with a smile. Everyone from the Lin family was standing at the door to welcome Yi Lingchen. Lin Tianhua too was waiting in the living room hall. This incident stirred up quite the storm. The appearance of Earth's Gate had everyone on alert. Lin Tianhua's expression was dark with a heavy look in his eyes. "Grandfather Lin, I'm here again. After this treatment, the poison will be all gone. You'll only need to recuperate properly after that." "Thank you, little friend Yi." During the treatment, Yi Lingchen could not help but ask, "Grandfather Lin, what exactly is the Earth's Gate?" Lin Tianhua sighed, "The Earth's Gate is not a faction within our country. It's from the Sun Nation across the seas. Our country has martial artists, and so do other countries. The Earth's Gate is made up of martial artists." Sun Nation. Yi Lingchen's interest was piqued, his expression turning dark. He had heard of the Sun Nation. A nation located on a small island. Their people were proud but violent, filled with ambition. Martial artists are highly competitive people, especially those from the Earth's Gate. Their pursuit of kung fu has reached the level of insanity. They think that their kung fu is the best in the world, and they will do anything to be the best in the world, Lin Tianhua explained. The rankings in kung fu is not based on words. As a martial artist, one has to fight to determine the winner. Without waiting for Yi Lingchen's questions, Lin Tianhua had started recollecting. 10 years ago, Earth's Gate challenged our warriors department in the name of exchanging kung fu knowledge. They defeated several powerful martial artists using vicious methods. I was forced to face them and fought with the Earth's Gate's leader. After a long battle that lasted 3 days and 3 nights, time passed without our notice. Finally, I was lucky to come out on top. In exchange for that, the Earth's Gate had vowed not to step foot into China for 10 years. My current condition is another token from that battle. However, in the past 10 years, the Earth's Gate's ambitions had grown. To think they would make such a big move right off the bat. A look of savagery crept into Lin Tianhua's expression. If Yi Lingchen was not there, Lin Ruoyu would have fallen into unimaginable trouble. Grandfather Lin, are you narrating some wuxia novel?" Yi Lingchen stared at Lin Tianhua with an innocent look on his face. "Such exaggerations, like HLL believe you. Who would have thought Grandfather Lin was also a fan of boasting?" Cough cough, although there were some bits with embellishments, don't sweat the details, Lin Tianhua blushed and coughed. Throughout his conversation with Lin Tianhua, Yi Lingchen finally had a rough understanding of Earth's Gate. The founding of Earth's Gate and the Warriors Department were similar. Both were factions to train martial artists. The only difference was Earth's Gate's methods were much more strict and ruthless. They only had one cardinal rule: the strongest rules, the fittest survive. To raise their skills, they would perform all sorts of inhumane acts. The ranks were separated into mundane, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. From both the planning and the scale of that day's operation, it clearly showed the extent of the Earth's Gate's ambitions. Back in that fight, I was seriously injured. If not for little friend Yi's treatment, I would be either dead or barely living. Instead, the Earth's Gate's leader has risen to new heights, Lin Tianhua continued in resignation. If Earth's Gate continued to challenge the Warriors Department, they had few candidates left to face them. The future seemed bleak. "Don't worry, grandfather. No matter how many they send, I'll kill them all." Lin Ao's eyes brightened with enthusiasm, rubbing his hands expectantly. Lin Tianhua glanced at Lin Ao without any comments, but instead let out a long heavy sigh. Grandfather, what do you mean by that? Lin Ao looked disappointed. You're too weak. We'll leave aside fighting 4 silver-ranked members and a sniper. Even in a one-on-one duel, you're no match for a single silver-ranked member. Lin Tianhua shook his head. If you have half my achievements back in my youth, you wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Lin Ao was speechless, replying indignantly, Grandfather, you're being too condescending. Grandfather Lin, Brother Lin is training very hard in the warriors department, Yi Lingchen said. Seeing that Grandfather Lin was ready to be derailed from the topic, he quickly asked, Grandfather, do you know what is inner force? Inner force? Lin Tianhua's gaze towards Yi Lingchen started to change. Yeah. For you to turn around and eliminate the sniper, that's not something an ordinary martial artist could achieve. After a moment's pause, he added, inner force is actually another level for martial artists to achieve. Kung Fu is just to train the body. However, as your body grows stronger, your circulation will grow stronger as well. Once your circulation has reached a certain level, it will generate qi in your body. That's inner force. You can think of it this way. Inner force can be treated as a storage of your excess energy within your body. You can let it out in one go during battles to achieve an explosive boost. To become an inner force martial artist, one had to meet stringent requirements. Furthermore, no matter how strong an inner force martial artist gets, he would only be a human with slightly stronger combat prowess. They are still no match against opponents wielding guns. That was why many martial artists did not purely focus their training in martial arts but instead took up shooting, disguising oneself, and other skills. Those that successfully learned how to use inner force were even fewer. Be it China or the Sun Nation, inner force martial artists were very rare. They were classified as national treasures. For example, an average martial artist could jump up to 2 meters. An inner force martial artist, with the help of inner force, would have no problem clearing a 5-meter height. Despite the small change, it was not as simple as it seemed. It meant that many higher difficulty missions could only be achieved by inner force martial artists. Furthermore, depending on the martial arts they trained with, each person's inner force would be different. Some focused on training their legs, resulting in their inner force being generated in their legs. Others may focus on training their fingers and the inner force would be generated within their fingers. In the case of Yi Lingchen, who learned the Arhat fist, the inner force was generated within his arms. That led to each individual having unique skills. Apart from the inner force being generated in varying parts of the body, the form the inner force takes can be different too. Earth's Gate's leader had a poisonous enhancement to his inner force which caused my illness. That is why when you face off with an inner force martial artist, you have to be extra careful, advised Grandfather Lin. Yi Lingchen nodded. He did not expect there to be so much variation between martial artists. For Grandfather Lin to duel the Earth's Gate's leader 10 years ago, he too had to be an inner force martial artist. The generation of inner force and its strength was directly related to the martial arts being practiced. He did not know what level his Arhat fist force belonged to. He had never met another inner force martial artist, so he had nobody to compare himself to. The information on inner force martial artists was never made public. Even Lin Ao and Lin Ruoyu had just barely learned of it. They were shocked, especially Lin Ao, to hear so many secrets in one conversation. His face darkened, having learned of another goal to work towards. Very quickly, Yi Lingchen finished his treatment for Grandfather Lin. He packed up and got ready to leave. Before Yi Lingchen left, he was stopped by Lin Ao, who whispered to him, Brother Yi, did you really manage to generate inner force? I guess so, Yi Lingchen replied with a nod. How did you do it? What's the feeling? Anything I should look out for? Lin Ao's eyes were glowing brightly as he questioned Yi Lingchen. Didn't your grandfather just tell you, as long as you constantly train one type of martial arts, you will have the chance to generate inner force? However, he said that inner force required talent and luck. That Earth's Gate is so strong, China's warriors department must not be weaker than them. Lin Ao was frustrated. Why don't you teach me instead? Me? Teach you? Yi Lingchen gave Lin Ao a surprised look, then shook his head. I don't have the time. Brother Yi, you still have no intention of joining the warriors department? Lin Ao stared intently at Yi Lingchen. You've seen what happened. The Earth's Gate's members were crossing the line. Yi Lingchen kept quiet. Lin Ao continued while he had the chance. Also regarding the incident back in your university, I'm sorry. However, you should also realize that at times, having certain privileges can be a very convenient thing. At least it could help you punish evildoers instead of being bullied. Yi Lingchen's eyes seemed to be in deep thought. Before this, as a regular person, he only saw a very normal world. However, at that moment, he learned that the world was not as simple as he thought. Lin Ao's words struck a chord in his heart. He had the system with him. To continue hiding was not a solution. He needed to raise his social standing and abilities. That was the best way to protect himself. Yi Lingchen finally made the decision. Alright, I'll join the warriors department. What do you need me to do? Ha ha ha, good. Lin Ao was elated. Brother Yi, you don't need to be so reserved. You joining the warriors department itself is worthy of a celebration. You don't need to do anything. Last time you straightened Sun Chao and his brother, and now you've captured Earth's Gate's silver-ranked members. Your merits are good enough. I'll make the application for you. We'll at least start you off as a lower-class warrior. Starting as a lower-class warrior, Yi Lingchen was slightly taken aback. That's already too low. In my opinion, your merits are worth more than a lower-class warrior. However, since you're new, we need to start you from the basics. Lin Ao then added, oh right, in a while we will be having an assessment for the 4 martial artists special training camps. I'll let you know when the time comes so you can join. Sure. Yi Lingchen nodded. The 4 special training camps. Yi Lingchen was interested to find out more about them. After leaving the Lin family, Yi Lingchen finally set off on returning to campus. His heart was uneasy. China had the Warriors Department and the Sun Nation had Earth's Gate. This meant other countries would have their own martial artist factions. Seems like it was as Lin Ao said. All the talk about peace was just an illusion. It was because others were taking the burden in the front lines. Somewhere out there, there was a group of people quietly contributing to the safety of the citizens of this country. 4 silver-ranked members and 1 sniper. Earth's Gate's influence was clear to see. Although his strength was nothing to laugh at, to the Earth's Gate, he would hardly be considered an appetizer. If it were purely a fight between martial arts, he had the Prodigy system. Learning martial arts was as simple as drinking water. He would have nothing to fear from those so-called experts. The main problem was that the enemy had guns. He had yet to gain immunity from firearms. Speaking of which, it would be amazing if he could pick up cultivation. With that, he would become godlike. He needed more popularity to quickly raise his skills. The main reason he averted disaster earlier was due to his martial arts, bird language, and parkour. Had he lacked any one of them, there would have had a different result. Coincidentally, these skills were all given to him by the system. He needed to learn more skills. Who knew when they would come in handy? While deep in thought, Yi Lingchen had already reached the internet cafe. As usual, he entered the private room and got ready to stream. During this period of time, Yi Lingchen had hit a bottleneck. The Grave Robbers Chronicles would still generate a lot of popularity for him, but it was at a much lower rate than before. From the last time until now, a week had passed. His popularity had only gone up to 42,389. The efficiency had dropped drastically. It seemed like he would need to continue creating sensational news. If Huo Yuanjia, the movie that he had challenged Shi Lei with, gets aired, he should gain another wave of popularity. Furthermore, Grave Robbers Chronicles was coming to an end. His stream would be able to gain more popularity by publishing a new piece of work. Lastly, there was Chaser of the Light from before. He heard that Chen Xiaoyan was still trying hard to look for him. He should find a chance to write her a new song. That was not a bad choice too. Apart from that, Yi Lingchen could also learn how to sing. He could compose and perform his own songs, or write a novel. There was also the choice of acting as a character that did not expose his face. With the Prodigy system, everything was possible. However, all those were just backup plans. From 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Yi Lingchen streamed the Grave Robbers Chronicles as usual and got ready to log off. For once, he pulled up the comments on a whim to have a look. In the past, he would never look at the comments. He would usually turn off the computer right after he ended the stream. After all, he was a storyteller. He did not need to chat with the listeners. However, now that he took a look, the stream was in an uproar. Lines after lines of comments were calling him in a frenzy. Why God, come have a look quickly. Why God, our side is annihilated. We need backup. Why God hides his face. Monkey God will reign. Mother of *CKERS. The Sun Nation is too insolent. Why God, show yourself. I'm begging you. Why God, did you read any of the comments? Did Cooled not tell you? The Sun Nation? What happened? At that time, Yi Lingchen was especially sensitive when it came to the Sun Nation. He scowled, then asked out in the stream, what happened? Damn, why God is finally replying, OMG. It's such a huge incident that shook the world of live streaming. How did you not know? Why God was not in the know? Quickly take a look at the streaming platform main page. Why God is taking action? Get them. Why God? Someone is challenging you. Will you rise to the challenge? Yi Lingchen went from the streaming platform and navigated to the main page. All he could see was a big red banner at the topmost corner sliding slowly across the screen. This type of banner being displayed across the entire platform required at least RMB 10,000 per shoutout. At that moment, the message was being repeated over and over again. China's Dota is nothing. The hosts are all trash. That whatchamacallit noob Why God is hiding in fear, not daring to show himself. The Sun Nation is the best in the world. Occasionally, some patriotic people would purchase the banner shoutout to argue with the Sun Nation. What the heck? The Sun Nation is challenging China to Dota. Yi Lingchen thought to himself for a moment, then gave Cooled a call. What's with the banner on the streaming platform? Yi Lingchen asked directly, cutting to the chase. It's the 5 hosts from the Sun Nation. They came to challenge China at Dota as a team. Right in this streaming platform, they have publicly mopped the floor with all the famous hosts one by one. Our country had nobody that could stand up to them and causing them to be full of themselves. Cooled explained. All the hosts lost? You too? Love letter as well? Yi Lingchen was surprised. HuYu as a streaming platform placed quite a bit of importance on gaming. Most of the hosts were highly skilled. Yi Lingchen had occasionally checked them out too. To think they were all defeated by the Sun Nation. It would seem that the Sun Nation came fully prepared. We all lost, Cooled sighed, the 5 of them are really strong. We had also formed a team of 5 strongest hosts to compete with them, but we still ended up losing. Why didn't you tell me? You're now streaming Grave Robbers Chronicles and already have a huge following. Moreover, you're no longer considered a gaming streamer. There's no need for you to take part in this. Furthermore, I might run the risk of losing, right? Those 5 from the Sun Nation are strong. They were well prepared with excellent teamwork and they gel well together. Meanwhile, we're only a temporary team. It's very difficult for us to win. Cooled tried to persuade Yi Lingchen. You spent so much effort to gain such a huge following. If you lose, it would all be wasted. Yi Lingchen understood that Cooled was being considerate to him. However, no matter the cost, he could not let this matter slide. Cooled, you team up with me. Also, call along with Love Letter, 09, and Wooer. I'll go meet with the Sun Nation, Yi Lingchen said in a serious tone. Following that, he started hammering away on his keyboard. Without any hesitation, he purchased the biggest banner shoutout he could. I'll accept the challenge from Sun Nation. In just a simple sentence, it sent the entire streaming platform into a frenzy. Why God? It's Why God. He's finally here. I've waited so long for this day. Why God, what took you so long? I almost wanted to mail you a butcher knife. Why God, I believe in you. All the best. Many of the more sensitive ones were blurry-eyed and started tearing up. Right after that, Yi Lingchen sent the second banner shoutout. Don't worry guys. One word. Smack M. Ha ha ha, that's right. Smack M. Right. Smack the Sun Nation. Mother of *CKERS. Wait a minute, isn't smack M 2 words? Don't sweat the details. If Why God says it's one word, then it's one word. All those while, the Sun Nation's banner was displayed right at the top. That kind of humiliation had been repressed in everyone's heart for way too long. Why God's reappearance boosted their morale. The entire stream was in an uproar. Even those uninterested with the gaming world were attracted over. Players from Honor of Kings and League of Legends came over too to watch Dota. Ring. Just shortly after Yi Lingchen showed himself, his phone started ringing. The caller ID showed that it was Song Qian. Why God, you took the challenge? Song Qian's tone was anxious. That's right. That's too careless. Song Qian almost cried. Why didn't you discuss with us first? Yi Lingchen frowned slightly. What's the matter? Is the platform going to interfere with the host's freedom? Of course not. Why God, you've misunderstood. Song Qian quickly explained. I know you're good at Dota, but the Sun Nation is no pushover either. All the hosts in our platform had been annihilated. So what? Because of that incident, our streaming platform had received many bad reviews claiming that our hosts were all incompetent. We have lost a lot of popularity that way, Song Qian said bitterly. You're considered our trump card. With you here, a lot of them are still holding onto that last sliver of hope. If you lose as well, then relax, I won't lose, Yi Lingchen replied nonchalantly and ended the call. In the streaming platform headquarters, Song Qian was disappointed. Song Qian, I told you that why God can't be trusted. If you had pushed for CU, then we wouldn't be facing this issue. Zhou Min laughed on the side. Next to her, CU was dressed in a seductively revealing manner. Huyu Streaming had dumped a lot of recommendations on Why God. If Why God were to lose, the drop in popularity would be costly to the streaming platform. Director Song, this might not be as bad as you think. Little Zhang spoke up. First of all, Why God's reply had immediately boosted the streaming platform's popularity. His showdown with the Sun Nation will also attract another wave of traffic. If Why God wins. Win? Zhou Min scoffed. What's he going to win with? Our entire platform's hosts were annihilated. Just how is he going to win? Although I don't know much about games, those 5 from the Sun Nation are well prepared. It will be very difficult to win. CU, who was silent all the while, finally chimed in. I say we quickly suppress this incident and stop recommending Why God. Let him cool off for some time and take this chance to promote CU, Zhou Min suggested. Song Qian remained quiet, his gaze flashing quickly. Little Zhang, I remember you play Dota as well. Tell me honestly, what level is Why God at? Song Qian asked very seriously out of a sudden. He's amazing, Little Zhang answered without thinking. He doesn't stream much, but each maneuver was almost at the level of textbook examples, even entering top 10. Love Letter had suffered defeat in his hands. In the past, his gaming stream attracted several fans. In his showdown with the Sun Nation, what do you think his chances of winning are? Song Qian continued asking. That. It's hard to tell. Little Zhang was hesitant, but I think that Why God will win. Our country is better than the Sun Nation. That's right. Our country is better than the Sun Nation. Song Qian's eyes brightened. I want Why God and the Sun Nation's match to be placed on the most prominent spot on our platform's main page. No, we will cancel all other recommendations on the platform's main page and only promote Why God's match. Also, go purchase Weibo's top search placement. We'll call it China and Sun Nation's Gaming Showdown. What? You're crazy. Zhou Min was flabbergasted. She stared at Song Qian. Do you know what you're doing? Of course I know, Song Qian replied nonchalantly. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our streaming platform. Opportunity? Zhou Min was furious. Have you ever considered the losses the platform will suffer if he loses? I believe in Why God and China's gaming community. Song Qian gave a determined reply. Little Zhang, just do as I say. With Song Qian's move, it pushed the incident to climactic heights. For some time, countless viewers rushed onto the streaming platform based on hearsay and were cheering for Why God in his stream. Why God is gaming again? I can't wait. Is he facing off with the Sun Nation? If he loses, I'll be a hater. You must win. Why God, do your best. Meanwhile, the 5 people from the Sun Nation finally reacted on the streaming platform. That coward Why God is finally showing himself? Our nation must teach him a lesson. Yi Lingchen remained stoic. Cut the bullshit, let's start. Love Letter and the rest too were ready for the match, agreeing to join Yi Lingchen in this showdown. They had loved Dota all the same throughout their time as casual gamers all the way until they became big-name hosts on the streaming platform. Their defeat at the Sun Nation's hand had left them dejected, yearning for a way to turn the table. Now that Yi Lingchen was leading the charge, they had no reason to shy from the fight. Why God, although you defeated me once, I'm not ceding my position. If you can lead us to victory, I, Love Letter, will willingly concede to you. Brother Why God, I like to listen to your storytelling of candle-blowing ghost. Why don't we find some time and have a private discussion? Following that comment was an extremely cute voice that sounded warm and fuzzy. It caused anyone that heard it to feel numbed by it. Wooer, behave yourself, said an icy stern voice. I just want to liven up the tense atmosphere. Sister Cooled, why are you so stressed out? Wooer, also known as Little Woo, was another beautiful female streamer. However, unlike Cooled, most of her fans were attracted by her charm instead. The so-called charm was of course not related to her gaming skills. It was her pleasing appearance and kawaii voice instead. Although her gaming skills were no match for Cooled, her cute soft voice had enslaved a huge number of otakus, tickling the cockles of their hearts. Little Wu, this is not the time to joke around. We can't afford to lose this match, Big Brother '09 had spoken. He was known as the #1 player in Dota, a retired professional gamer. He was the first host to stream Dota on the platform and was widely respected by gamers. Moreover, he was also famous for his situational awareness. Alright. Wooer gave in. Calm yourselves and get ready to start, Yi Lingchen reminded them. All 5 of them took a deep breath at the same time then entered the match lobby. Right after that, the 5 people from the Sun Nation followed suit. Here I was wondering who it might be. It seems that 4 of you had lost to us before. This is boring, I'm not interested in bullying noobs. It seems that that's all that China has. They can't come up with some worthy opponents. The other is the so-called Y God, right? I heard he's amazing. Perhaps it's all just made up. That's right, the Chinese are only good at one thing, and it's their tall tales, ha ha ha. From the moment they entered the lobby, they did not stop with their incessant insults. This match had already attracted a huge audience. Those words from the Sun Nation had aggravated many of them, triggering a flurry of curses. FCK, you insolent pieces of sh*t from the Sun Nation. That's it, I'm going to kill them. Win. You guys must win and give them a good round of face slapping. Please don't let us down, I'll start with a rocket reward for good luck. If you win, I'll send 100 more. Awesome, I'll do the same, Director Song. Our online viewers has reached a total of 6.5 million and it's still going up, Little Zhang said with a trembling voice as he looked at the server report. That was the most astounding figure he had seen in the history of the company. Continue monitoring. You must make sure this stream runs smoothly. Don't forget to continue promoting this, Song Qian ordered. His face was slightly red, gripping his fists tightly. He was just as stressed, if not more than everyone else. Why God, it's up to you now, you must do your best. Sitting at the side, Zhou Min stole a glance at Song Qian, sneering in her heart. This is asking for it. To place such a huge gamble on Why God. I'll see how this ends for you. If they lost the match, Song Qian would be the biggest laughing stock of the company. Meanwhile, within the stream, Cooled and the others were triggered but had no way to rebuke them as they had previously lost to the Sun Nation. They could only curse at them in their hearts. Yi Lingchen calmly read the messages sent by the Sun Nation's team and started typing away. It's too boring to just game. Why don't we place a bet? What are you trying to bet on? Someone on the Sun Nation's team replied. How about you call me daddy if you lose? What did you say? Never mind, let's change the bet. I don't want kids like you. Yi Lingchen started typing again. The loser will bark 3 times like a dog. Hee, it's a piece of cake to defeat you guys. Just get ready to bark like a dog. Yi Lingchen continued, in that case, I pity the dogs for being related to the 1 of you. B-starred, you're full of it. Just you wait, B-sturds what? B-sturds cursing you, 1, oh my. I feel sorry for the B***stards out there. Seeing Yi Lingchen's sharp replies to the Sun Nation players, the admiration of the viewers on the live stream grew further. Ha ha ha, I pity the B***stards. FCK. I never expected Why God to be this amazing at Vitriol. You have my praise. Awesome, Why God is right, I don't want kids like that too. Classic comebacks. No wonder Why God is my idol, this feels great. FCK. The 5 from the Sun Nation contemplated his words, then slowly realized that they had been pranked. You Chinese are all talk. You're nothing but trash. Trash what? Yi Lingchen replied once again. Without any hesitation, the people from the Sun Nation replied, trash scolding you. Seeing the Sun Nation players' reply so furiously amused the live stream audience greatly. Ha ha ha, I can't take it anymore, I'm dying from laughter. Oh, the intelligence of these people is worrying. They said those from the Sun Nation are not fully evolved. From the looks of it, the rumors are true. I'll cut the bullshit. Why God, you have my rewards. In just a few exchanges, Yi Lingchen managed to help everyone vent their frustrations. Everyone started commenting like madmen, flooding the chat full of laughter, immediately boosted their morale. Why God, you're really something. Cooled commented, forcing herself to stop laughing. That's right, big brother Why God. My respect for you has grown once again, Wooer added. The people from the Sun Nation had also realized that they were helpless when faced with Yi Lingchen had decided to just remain silent. They waited for the game to start so they could show Yi Lingchen who was the boss. Cough, pay attention guys. The game's about to start. Don't talk about unrelated stuff. Yi Lingchen reminded them with a light cough in a helpless tone. Wuer's sound was pleasing to his ears, but if she kept using that voice to flirt with him, then that was difficult to deal with. Yi Lingchen did not know what the others thought about it, but he could not take it. The screen started to load up for the game. Why God, what hero do you plan to use? Gould asked, could it still be Shadow Fiend? Yeah, I still plan to use Shadow Fiend. Why God, Shadow Fiend is too squishy. The opponents are experienced in team play. We need to be more careful about your hero choice. 09 advised with a serious tone. Although Yi Lingchen was well known for playing Shadow Fiend and he was good at it, Shadow Fiend was still Shadow Fiend. Its weaknesses were obvious. Once countered, it would become useless. Relax. Yi Lingchen replied with a smile. Very soon, it was time to pick their heroes. A cruel smile appeared on the faces of the 5 from the Sun Nation. How dare they humiliate us? Execute Plan A. We must crush them completely. In Dota, teams are split into groups of 5. Teamwork was especially important. That caused the hero lineup to be a deciding factor for the outcome of a match. The 5 from the Sun Nation put on a chilling smile and locked in 5 heroes right from the start. Axe, Death Prophet, Silencer, Juggernaut, and Slayer. The appearance of those 5 heroes caused everyone's heart to skip a beat. Every one of them were strong heroes in all aspects. Apart from that, their synergy in a team fights was not something to laugh at. Each of them were well suited for team fights. When faced with those 5 heroes, Yi Lingchen's side was having difficulty picking another 5 heroes to stand up to them. Why God? I think you should calm down a little. Picking Shadow Fiend now will put us in an unfavorable situation. Love Letter was forced to bring this up to him. It's fine, Yi Lingchen shrugged it off, then picked Shadow Fiend without hesitation. Upon seeing the choice of hero there Why God went with, the viewers went up in an uproar. FCK. It can't be. Why God still picked Shadow Fiend? He must be crazy. With such a lineup on the opposing team, what can Shadow Fiend do? I admit that Why God is good at using Shadow Fiend, but this is just too reckless. It's gone, we're finished. Why God has finally let it go to his head. Several people were spewing comments like crazy, all of them filled with apprehension for the match. The 5 from the Sun Nation were delighted. They have won half the game before it even started. Ha ha ha, that dumb SS picked Shadow Fiend, he's asking for it. He's here to feed us, right? We'll just treat him as an ATM. Gould and the rest felt helpless. They quickly picked their heroes as well. However, when compared with the lineup of the Sun Nation's team, they were off by more than a tier. This lineup is disadvantageous. Even though Song Qian knew nothing about the game, having looked at the comments, a worried scowl appeared on his face. I'll take mid, Yi Lingchen stated with any hesitation, then calmly sent Shadow Fiend down along the middle lane. Surprisingly, the hero he faced was not Slayer, but Death Prophet instead. The Sun Nation's tactics were initially quite passive. They only leached experience from the creeps, occasionally trying to outsmart or outmaneuver Yi Lingchen. That led to a rather peaceful face-off. On the other hand, the defense of the bottom lane was already showing signs breaking. With Axe cutting off their creeps before the tower and Silencer covering for him, Wuer's Earthshaker and Love Letter's Slark had no way of getting close. They could not even farm the creeps. Once, they even made a mistake and allowed Axe to draw first blood. The gap between the heroes was too big. Earthshaker and Slark were both melee heroes, fully suppressed by their opponent's range advantage. Within the first 7 minutes, the Tier 1 tower on the bottom lane had already lost half its health. Wuer and Love Letter's levels too were stunted. FCK. That's too frustrating. Love Letter's face was flushed. Why God, can't you come to help out the bottom lane? I don't do team fights. You just focus on slowing them down. Yi Lingchen replied calmly. His words not only caused Gould and the rest to feel hopeless, even the viewers felt the same. Good heavens. What's the meaning of this? Not taking part in team fights? What's Why God up to? Did he give up? Mole, he's a mole, FCK. Oh right, Death Prophet should be going bottom. Yi Lingchen continued, leisurely taking control of the middle lane. As expected, Death Prophet appeared the very next moment at the bottom lane. Death Prophet immediately started with its ultimate, causing countless spirits to surround the tower and eat away at its health. They're planning to push the towers. O9 quickly understood the opponent's goal. The opposing team was good at team fights and their early game damage output was great. They were preparing to cut off all hope for Yi Lingchen's team and push to the end. With Death Prophet, its ultimate was one of the fastest in terms of pushing towers. Why God? Are you not coming back? No, Yi Lingchen remained in the middle, clearing creeps with shadow rays and eating away at the opponent's tier 1 tower in the middle lane. However, his speed was incomparable to his opponent's. The opponent's tower had only lost a third of its health, but his own tier 1 tower at the bottom lane was destroyed. *T. The enemy is pushing bottom with a 5-man team, Love Letter shouted, his tone filled with anxiety. They planned to push the tier 2 tower as well. Once Juggernaut's healing ward was out, it was equivalent to a moving fountain. Along with the 5-man team, waves of creep pushed forth towards the tier 2 tower. Furthermore, due to the early game advantage, their equipment was much better than Yi Lingchen's team. This match looked even bleaker than the few matches before. It could already be considered a one-sided game at this point. The rowdy comments started to fade away as everyone's heart sank. The Sun Nation was using a shameless but effective tactic, causing everyone to lose hope. They could handle single fights, team fights, and even push towers quickly. That was just taking away all hope from their opponents. The game had only begun, but your base was almost destroyed. How do you play against that? This was why God's re-emergence in the gaming scene. Could this also be the time he gets utterly defeated? If they push the tower, then you just let them. They won't be able to push past our high ground. You guys go farm some experience first and catch up on your levels, Yi Lingchen advised in a plain voice that was impossible to tell his emotions. Finally, when Yi Lingchen finished pushing the tier 1 tower in the middle lane, the tier 2 tower on his team was destroyed as well. He did not hesitate at all, headed directly into the jungle to clear creeps before heading back to base to resupply. Meanwhile, the opponents were already gathered in the middle lane, preparing to use the same tactic to crush the middle lane. You're still not fighting? Kuld's voice started to tremble. The disadvantage their team suffered was too obvious. No, Yi Lingchen gave a cruel reply. He had been soloing all those while and even destroyed a tower. At that moment, he was the fattest player in the game. Without any delay, he quickly purchased Boots of Travel and a Mask of Madness. Without even glancing at the middle lane, he teleported to the top lane. While a small portion of viewers still had some hope in Yi Lingchen's plans earlier, at that moment, they had lost all hope. Boots of Travel allowed him to teleport to a friendly unit or structure. That was equivalent to perpetually having a teleportation scroll. Mask of Madness, or also known as Crazy Face 1, allowed the user to gain a 100% attack speed and 30% movement speed bonus at the cost of receiving an extra 30% of incoming damage. That hard-earned gold was spent just like that. Everyone's faces twitched as they felt a stab in their hearts. Who would have thought that Yi Lingchen would buy those 2 items after he earned all that gold while he sacrificed 2 of his towers? Asking for trouble. Boots of Travel was not an essential item early game. It was just a waste of money. As for Mom, using it was equivalent to committing suicide for a hero like Shadow Fiend. Why God? What are you doing? Kuld gasped in horror, unable to hold back her question. You guys just defend the base and delay them. Leave the rest to me, Yi Lingchen answered. By then, he was already at the top lane using Boots of Travel. With 2 shadow raises, he immediately cleared the enemy creeps and led his creeps to the opponent's tower. Trying to trade towers? Some viewers began to realize Yi Lingchen's intention, and that was indeed Yi Lingchen's plan. Activating Mom, his attack speed increased by 100%. His damage output increased drastically, hastily wearing away at the opponent's tier 1 tower. Furthermore, Shadow Fiend had the Shadow Rays ability, allowing him to easily clear a wave of creeps all on his own. His solo tower push was more significant than all 5 opponents' concerted effort. Very quickly, his middle lane tier 1 tower was destroyed, but at the same moment, the opponent's top lane tier 1 tower was similarly done for. Hot damn. This maneuver seems unbelievable. At first, I had no idea, but as time passed, I think I'm starting to understand. Trading towers? In such an unfavorable situation, it is a good choice indeed. Shadow Fiend with items can push a tower really fast. The viewers were affected by Yi Lingchen's calmness despite him being constantly insulted. Eventually, a lot of them started to think more positively. Even Cool and the rest felt an improvement in their mood. It seemed that all was not lost. Very soon, the Sun Nation too had realized Yi Lingchen's intentions. Seeing Yi Lingchen pushing forward with his creeps towards the Tier 2 tower, they were forced to give up their charge. "Why God, be careful. They might be heading your way to get you," O9 reminded. To be fair, even if O9 had not reminded him, Yi Lingchen had already hidden in the jungle after pushing a creep wave. He then teleported to the bottom lane with his boots of travel. At that moment, the benefits of buying the boots of travel was greatly shown. Yi Lingchen teleported near the opponent's Tier 1 tower using his creeps. Using shadow rays to clear the path as before, Yi Lingchen activated his mom and rushed the tower. Meanwhile, the opposing team was slowly losing their initiative. When they arrived at the top lane, Yi Lingchen was already pushing the bottom lane. They were being led by the nose by Yi Lingchen. In the comments, there was a whole load of cheers and screams. This type of 1 vs 5 scenario had their blood boiling. Epic, truly epic. The synergy between Shadow Fiend's high DPS and the utility of boots of travel brought them a huge advantage. That was something nobody had thought of. Cooled and the rest could not help but cheer for him out loud. At that moment, one player from the Sun Nation decided to teleport over. The teleportation circle appeared on the Tier 1 tower, right in front of Shadow Fiend. "Why God, it's about time. We need to play safe and not give the opponents any opportunities," Love Letter warned him in a worried tone. With someone harassing Yi Lingchen, it would increase the difficulty of destroying the tower. However, Yi Lingchen did not reply, but instead quietly estimated the timing, after which Shadow Fiend moved into the opponent's teleportation circle and started swaying. He was channeling his ult. The teleportation had a channeling time of 2.1 seconds. Shadow Fiend's ult, Requiem of Souls, only required 1.55 seconds of channeling time. Just as the ult finished channeling, Silencer appeared at the same time. Boom! Countless souls flew outwards from Shadow Fiend's body, all of them passing through Silencer's body. An ult ability at point blank with maximum damage. Silencer was eliminated immediately. FC King amazing. Channeling ult while the opponent teleports. That was such a troll maneuver. As expected of Why God, I knew a miracle would happen. Needless to say, I think this match is a sure win. Ha ha ha, dogs of the Sun Nation, how does it feel to be led around by the nose? Before that, the crowd could only see a sliver of hope. Now, they were passionately sure of their victory. Why God was still the same as before, the unbeatable Why God. After killing Silencer, the opponent's morale plummeted. Taking that chance, Yi Lingchen pushed the tower in one breath. After he secured a kill and a tower, he then boldly left the scene. With the money, Yi Lingchen continued to upgrade his equipment. Third piece of equipment, Crystallese. Crystallese boosted attack power and allowed the user to have a chance for a critical hit. Yi Lingchen had already given up on defense and went for a purely offensive route. Why God carrying a Crystallese happily, oh my. I think Why God is trying to push towers all the way. Congratulations to Why God for your increased speed in tower destruction. Didn't the Sun Nation love destroying towers? Come have a match. We'll give you a 4-hero handicap. The viewers felt the frustrations within them clearing away. They no longer doubted Yi Lingchen's equipment choices. For most people, Shadow Fiend is too squishy, requiring them to boost its stats. As for me, Shadow Fiend has no need for stat boosts because under my control, Shadow Fiend will not die. Yi Lingchen took the chance to flex. Amazing, accidentally gave Why God a chance to flex. Unlike the Chinese team, the Sun Nation's team went silent. They were stumped between charging as a team or not. If they charged as a team, Why God would take their towers. If they did not team up, their early game advantage would be gone once Shadow Fiend and the other heroes gained momentum. Both teams fell into a stalemate. Yi Lingchen, however, was unfazed. He continued to farm for gold. With the boots of travel and mom giving him high attack speed and movement speed, he would occasionally clear the jungle creeps in the opponent's jungle. His gold farming speed flabbergasted everyone. Had Yi Lingchen's opponents witnessed the speed he farmed gold, they would fall into despair. Wooer, stay still for now. Yi Lingchen suddenly exclaimed with a frown on his face. Due to the improving situation, Cooled and the rest were becoming more active. Out of the group, Wooer was the more reckless one. She was controlling Earthshaker, stalking the straggling axe, eager to make her move. "Iya, I just got my blink dagger. I can take this axe out with an ult," Wooer retorted. Just as she finished, she made the move. However, just as she blinked in for her ult, the opponent's silencer activated his ult before she could activate her follow-up skill. Global silence. All the heroes on Yi Lingchen's team were unable to use any skills for 6 seconds. Wooer's hero was heavily suppressed in the early game. It was understandable that she wanted her revenge now that the situation is more favorable for her team. However, the opponent's axe was obviously acting as bait. After Silencer's ult, the other 4 heroes came out from the fog and killed Wooer in an instant. As for Cooled, Love Letter and 09, they were not too far from Wooer. Originally they planned to keep a lookout for Wooer. When they saw Axe almost dying, they also aggressively rushed in for the kill. In the end, they traded 1 kill with 4 deaths. The opponent's Axe had died, but Yi Lingchen was the sole survivor on his team. Furthermore, the opponent's Axe had chosen to buy back his hero. Now all 5 were boldly making their way towards Yi Lingchen. FCK. That Wooer. I'm speechless. That's just hindering the team. Did she feed on purpose? Damn it. Could Wooer be a traitor trying to get her team wiped? Such a favorable situation went to waste just like that. That's it, this just confirmed the win for the enemy. Countless comments criticizing Wooer instantly appeared across the screen. Their agitation was clear as most of the comments were demeaning. Some of them even included Cooled and the other hosts. The game was already in the later stage, so the hero buyback cooldown was very long with a minimum of 100 seconds. 100 seconds may not seem long, but in the late game phase, tower destruction would only take slightly over 10 seconds. Moreover, Yi Lingchen's side had no more outer towers, which meant the opponents could immediately push for the high ground. They might even charge through the base in one shot. Hoping for Yi Lingchen to fend off 5 heroes on his own? That was unrealistic. The game was set. It's my fault. Wooer finally squeaked. The tone of her voice was on the verge of tears. After reading the comments, she immediately broke down in tears. Cooled and the other 2 hosts were speechless as well. They too were partly responsible for this loss. At the same time, the 5 from the Sun Nation sent a public message, "Ha ha ha, be prepared to bark like a dog, you Chinese dogs. Ha ha ha. GG, you trash. You guys are all talk, right? Why aren't you talking now?" Their words cut deep, sending the team into a dour mood. Seeing that, Wooer cried even more. At the same time, at Huyu Streaming's headquarters, Song Qian's face turned pale. "I've told you not to put all your eggs in one basket. Song Qian, you're too reckless," Zhou Min sneered. "Before God decimates humans, he will make them crazy first. You've acted too impulsively this time." "Relax, I will bear the consequences," Song Qian replied in a low voice as he continued observing the match. He did not blame Yi Lingchen, it was just bad luck. "Little Wu, stop crying. We've not lost yet, we still have a chance," Yi Lingchen consoled Wooer. "Brother, why God, you don't have to comfort me, that was all because of me." Wooer was still dejected. "I'm not comforting you. Just watch. It's not too late to cry when we lose the game." Yi Lingchen laughed. "If you continue crying, that will affect my condition and really cause us to lose." Wooer immediately stopped her crying. She sniffled softly. "Really?" "Of course." Yi Lingchen's expression turned serious and stared at the 5 heroes marching towards him. By then, the Sun Nation's team had already pushed to the high ground at Yi Lingchen's middle lane. The tower on the high ground was being melted away and things were looking grim. As the fattest hero in-game, Yi Lingchen already had 5 late-game items. Blink Dagger, Boots of Travel, Daedalus, upgraded from Crystales, Mask of Madness, and Black King Bar. Furthermore, his total gold has reached 6,000. It was pointless for him to buy back if he rushed in and died. Due to that, Yi Lingchen spent the 6,000 and purchased Divine Rapier. Damn, that's Divine Rapier. This is my first time seeing someone getting a Divine Rapier in a match. Ah, this is so exciting. Is Why God going all or nothing? With him alone, this seems uncertain. Why God, regardless of the outcome, you have my support. Divine Rapier. Plus 350 attack damage, drops upon death. That was an equipment that solely boosted attack damage. The damage boost was awesome, but it drops upon death. At that moment, everyone in front of their screens held their breath and held their fists tightly. Silence washed over the chat. Why God? You can do it. All the viewers were praying quietly in their hearts. Yi Lingchen took a deep breath and took note of the 5 opponents' positioning. Picking a corner, he immediately blinked into the back line of the Sun Nation team. Mom activated. The first target was Silencer at the back of the team. Attacking at lightning speed, smack, smack, 2 hits. On the first hit, it took off 1/3 of his hit points. On the second hit, it activated a critical hit, causing a bright red 1658 to appear. In nearly 0.5 seconds, Silencer was killed. The next instant, Slayer was targeted. Smack! Another critical, 1789. In just one hit, Slayer died as well. In less than a second, 2 of the opponents were killed. Only then did they realize what had happened. By that time, Yi Lingchen had activated the Black King bar. Black King bar grants 10 seconds of immunity to magic. Requiem of Souls. Shadow Fiend started to channel his ult. However, it was interrupted by Axe in the middle. After absorbing the damage, he continued to channel the ult. Countless souls flew out from his body. All the surrounding creeps were cleared immediately. The surviving Axe, Death Prophet, and Juggernaut were also down by half their hit points. At the same time, Shadow Fiend only had 1/3 of his hit points remaining. The scene was a little messy. Shadow Fiend was surrounded by 3 opponents. Yi Lingchen started to attack Juggernaut first. That was the main DPS of the opponent's team. Smack, smack, 2 hits, Juggernaut, dead. Next was Death Prophet. Smack, smack, 2 hits again with a critical of 1900. Dead. By then, Shadow Fiend only had a sliver of hit points remaining, trading normal attacks with Axe. However, Axe was by no means a damage-focused hero. Furthermore, Yi Lingchen had Mom that lets him convert a set amount of damage dealt into hit points, keeping him alive from all the blows. Instead, it was Axe that fell unwillingly after a critical hit. Only a black tall figure stood proudly on the battlefield. Shadow Fiend's hit points were down to 17 points. Rampage. Why God is on a rampage, total silence. All that was left was the low rumbling sound of the system announcer. Countless viewers failed to hold back their tears. That was all so dreamy to them. They won? They actually won? They had imagined several possibilities, but they had never anticipated such a violent and exciting battle to have ensued. Strong, too strong. Just as everyone was still dazed by the performance, Yi Lingchen immediately teleported up to the opponent's high ground using his boots of travel with what little hit points he had left. Coupled with his insanely high attack power, he quickly decimated the opponent's high ground and prepared to level the base altogether. Meanwhile, Cooled and the other 3 had also revived. They excitedly changed into boots of travels and teleported to the opponent's high ground to take part in the honorable act of destroying their base. Brother, why God, you're amazing. You're my idol, I'll be your fan. Wooer went from weeping to smiling, her voice trembling from the excitement. My luck was good. The opponents were caught by surprise and made some mistakes too. Axe was too early with his ult. Otherwise, the results might be different, Yi Lingchen explained with a smile. Brother, why God? Can I ask you a question? Wooer's cute voice made it difficult for someone to reject her. What's the question? Do you have sex with your fans? Boom. Followed by the explosion of the Sun Nation's team's base, the game concluded. Only then did the viewers slowly recover from their daze, just to have their minds blown again. FCK. We won. We won. We won. Important announcement must be repeated thrice. That's so cool. Why God is super cool. 1 versus 5. Such tactics. I'm impressed. Why God is forever my idol. Bring glory to our country. He's bringing glory to our country. Why God, you're a hero. Both the tactics and the resolve were perfect. This is amazing. Why God, please continue to stream your gameplay. I'm serious, you're super cool when you game. In an instant, thousands of comments popped up in the stream. Following that was countless cheers flooding the chat. The final massacre may look like a simple maneuver on Yi Lingchen's end, but it did not allow for the slightest bit of mistake. No matter the situational awareness, maneuver, or his mental state, it was not something an average person could pull off. Furthermore, it was highly dependent on his quick gold farming speed. When Yi Lingchen had the divine rapier in his hand, that was the moment of truth. Just the thought of it brought out the viewers' excitement and made their blood boil with passion. The targeting of Silencer and Slayer first was because those two were mages. They had explosive damage output and crowd control abilities that allowed them to pull off unexpected stunts. Moreover, mages are all squishy targets. That was why he had to take them out first. Yi Lingchen then followed up with an ult and killed them one by one. He stayed composed and methodical. That was the deciding factor of Yi Lingchen's victory. Unbelievable, exciting, and it left viewers breathless. Countless viewers were still in a daze with the earlier game playing back in their minds, not getting enough of it. Damn it, such luck. Your critical rate was high. The gaming system must be siding with you. Otherwise, you would have lost. The Sun Nation sent a taunting message over after a long silence. Hee hee, luck? Are you shameless? Daedalus was bought exactly for its ability to crit? The Sun Nation is quite funny can't take the loss? What a dumb SS. Daedalus has a critical rate of 25%. I checked the replay and why God's critical rate was not even 23%. Why is everyone trying to reason with the Sun Nation? Isn't that the same as reasoning with a dog? You Sun Nation people, don't forget to bark like a dog. Quick, we're waiting. Faced with the countless criticism from the masses, the 5 from the Sun Nation chose to go silent. China will not tolerate your atrocious behavior. Scram. Yi Lingchen typed a public message. Shortly, Sun Nation's team went offline without a word, something that surprised no one. Brother, why God, this time I really have to thank you. If we lost the match, I'm afraid that'll be the end of me, Wooer said with trepidation. If they had lost, then she would be the person to blame. Countless people would slander her name. That would end her career as a streaming host. It's just a game. I didn't blame you, Yi Lingchen smiled. I don't know how to show you my gratitude. Why don't we set a date and you consider my earlier suggestion? Wooer continued. Little Wu, stop this type of joke with why God. Before Yi Lingen could reply, Cooled had quickly interjected, after defeating the Sun Nation. You all must be tired. We should go log out for now. O9 and Love Letter expressed their gratitude and respect for Yi Lingchen as well. Then after some formalities, they all went offline. Yi Lingchen took a look at his popularity. It went from 42,389 to 156,785. He gained over 100,000 popularity in one go. That was the biggest gains Yi Lingchen had. Our people are truly patriotic. Faced with the Sun Nation's provocations, it triggered a staggering amount of followers. I hope the Sun Nation does more provocative actions in the future. That way I can show myself and obtain more popularity. Yi Lingchen entertained his selfish thoughts. After taking a look at his current skills, Yi Lingchen was not rushed to spend his popularity this time. Let's save it first and think about using them after learning more useful skills. At Haiyu's headquarters, Song Qian was left dumbfounded on the spot as his throat continuously trembled. The exhilaration had turned his mind blank for some time. Zhou Min was dumbstruck too, but hers was from shock. Director Song, why God seems to have. 1. Little Zhang stuttered, swallowing hard. He then continued to stare at the screen. Seems like he won. Song Qian's face was turning redder by the moment, to the point where his eyes were bloodshot. He laughed maniacally and said, ha ha ha, why God didn't let me down, ha ha ha. I knew that he's our lucky star, it won't go wrong if I place my bets on him. Director Song, just earlier, our streaming platform's online viewer count has finally risen. This time, someone with the data report entered in a hurry. Furthermore, our platform went onto Weibo's top search list. Even Tencent News made a live report on the news of the gaming stream's victory. Director Song, the rewards in Why God's stream is continually rising at an alarming rate. Even Cooled and the other 3 hosts are having an influx of rewards in their stream. Another person brought in more forms. These numbers have just broken our record for the highest number of rewards received in a day for our platform. Director Song, Aiku just gave us a call. They're interested to purchase the copyright to the video for the earlier match and wish to discuss the deal, said the third person that came stumbling into the room. Following that, another person ran into the room. Director Song, CEO Wang was alerted. He's rushing here immediately, saying that he wants an immediate meeting. That match had not only shouldered the name of the country in the gaming world, It was also extremely entertaining, especially Y God's gameplay and tactics. They were considered the best even among classic moments, definitely an excellent tool to attract popularity. Great, 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 one by one, don't rush. Song Qian looked vibrant, full of life, continued to market this match. Remember, place the video of this match on the platform's main page. Let's say 10 days. Damn that crazy luck, Zhou Min muttered as she stared at Song Qian. Her eyes were green with envy. 10:30 p.m., under the weird gaze of the dorm supervisor, Yi Lingchen anxiously ran into his dorm. As Yi Lingchen was returning home very late recently, the dorm supervisor had started to remember him. Now that he had some money, perhaps he should get a house and a computer. That would be a lot more convenient for him. Maybe he should find some time within the week to look for a house? Yi Lingchen was a decisive person. Since he had a plan, he wanted to execute it as soon as possible. Back in the dorm, his housemates were still up. Little Jen's leg was mostly recovered. The three of them were passionately discussing something in front of the computer with an excited look on their faces. Yeezy, you're finally home. Earlier Y God was wiping the floor with the Sun Nation. That sure felt good. Yeezy, your shadow fiend is quite amazing too. You should have a look. You might just end up as the next Y God. Y God is legendary. Hiding all the while, but once he comes out of hiding, he sends the Sun Nation running home crying and peeing their pants. China will not tolerate your atrocious behavior. This sentence sure feels domineering. Those are words that a top-class expert would say. He's worthy to be my idol. Yi Lingchen shook his head while laughing, then climbed on his bed. There's an early class tomorrow. Aren't you guys going to sleep yet? Sleep? Get up and party. Being unable to sleep, Shang retorted. Watching that match got us all excited. We're just about to play a few rounds of Dota to get things started. Yeezy, from what I can tell, apart from Y God, all the other hosts are nothing compared to you. If you're there, we wouldn't have to go through such a close call, Potato said. You know what that means? It means that the true experts are hidden in the general public. Yeezy is just keeping a low profile. The Sun Nation doesn't qualify to have him take part. Little General interjected, sucking up to Yi Lingchen. Yeezy, why are you going to bed so early? Help us climb the ranks and flex. Yi Lingchen felt helpless and unwittingly climbed out of bed to help them feel the exhilaration of victory. Oh right, Yeezy, you're now the hottest topic in our university. With such basketball skills, there's plenty of girls asking for your WeChat contact from us. Did you tell them? Of course not, Little General replied matter-of-factly. Am I someone who would sell out a friend like that? Shang then burst his bubble with an evil smirk. Yeezy, your WeChat contact is an advantage for us. If we told them, they would just ignore us. If we keep it secret, they might even treat us. Yi Lingchen shook his head, at a loss for words over the behavior of his three housemates. There's something else after the basketball competition. Potato suddenly interjected in the middle of a game. This incident went crazy on our university website. It's watching university's provocation. Provocation? Yi Lingchen nonchalantly wiped out the opponent's team, then gave Potato a weird look. Yeah, Watching University and Capital University are both rated as top universities in the country. With that, they are highly competitive with each other. They will fight over all sorts of stuff, including basketball. After a moment's pause, Potato continued, in previous years, it was always the sports department that placed first. Now that the sports department was defeated, Watching University started mocking Capital University's basketball team, saying they're deteriorating with time. I've heard about that too. It seems to have quite the impact. Shang laughed out loud. He then continued in a mocking tone. This incident should be causing Yi Yuan quite the headache. He was humiliated through and through for this. That's right. As both the student council president and the committee of the sports council, Yi Yuan's taking the brunt of the criticism, Little General added, then continued. However, Capital University is our alma mater after all. It's not a good thing if Watching University keeps mocking us like that. I've heard that this year's inter-university basketball competition date has been set. Little General had spent some time with the basketball team after all. It was natural that he had better sources. Potato was surprised. They're doing it so early this year? They've always started the competition during the middle of the year previously. Capital University wants to prove itself while Watching University is looking down at this year's basketball team. Both agreed readily to move the competition forward. Little General then looked at Yi Lingchen. Yeezy, you're also a student of this university. If you take part, we will surely win and glorify our university. Inter-university basketball competition only in name, it was just a basketball match between Capital University and Watching University, not exactly a rare event. Each year they will conduct all sorts of competition just to compete with each other. Yi Lingchen just smiled along, we'll see when the time comes. He, of course, would not reject the chance to help the university gain recognition, but he did not like to flaunt his skills. After all, with his current ability, competing with some university students was just the same as an adult bullying a child, pointless and boring. Just let fate decide. Meanwhile, in He Yuan's dorm, all four who gathered within the dorm were members of the university's basketball team. At that time, they were all staring at Capital University's webpage with gloomy expressions. Mother *CKER. We've let that Yi Lingchen flaunt himself, He Yuan muttered. Furthermore, those idiots from Watching University. Just what are they trying to brag about? Just wait until the competition comes. I'll give them such a beating their mother wouldn't recognize them. I've heard that Watching University is even stronger than the previous years. There's this new student that had taken part in the district-level basketball tournament. His jumping ability is crazy, enabling him to dunk. Someone said with a twinge of worry. What's so great about dunking? It's just acting cool, He Yuan sneered. If not for Yi Lingchen that B** starred, I won't be mocked by Watching University. He Yuan, this is the draft of our list of participants for the basketball match. Please have a look. He Yuan received the name list and glanced through it. The list consisted of mostly people from the sports department and a few noteworthy students from the previous basketball match. All of a sudden, his gaze paused and a scowl formed on his face. Taking out a pen, he immediately struck Yi Lingchen's name off the list, calmly saying, "That will do. I'll submit this name list to the university management and have them set a date for the match." The following time was very productive for Yi Lingchen. He was either attending classes or reading books in the library during his free time, trying his best to increase the scope of his knowledge. IT, physics, chemistry, Dutch, Chinese 1, and Turkish were part of his repertoire. He had even read some cookbooks as well. Within 4 days, coupled with the Prodigy system, Yi Lingchen had almost swept through the entire library of Capital University. Capital University deserved the title to be called a prestigious institution for the past century. The number of books was impressive. It was able to greatly expand Yi Lingchen's knowledge by several levels. At the same time, Yi Lingchen discovered some issues. Language-related skills were fine. Their proficiency was easily raised to 100%. When it came to IT, chemistry, medical knowledge, and the likes, the proficiency would easily reach a bottleneck. Even if he had flipped through all the books, the one with the highest proficiency was only at 80%. It would seem that knowledge was divided into categories. Those such as language and martial arts were considered minor skills. As for IT and the likes, they were considered as major skills. Minor skills were easily trained, while the major skills required him to collect all information in that field. Taking IT as an example, he would have to learn all the IT-related knowledge in the world for it to reach 100%. That was just too difficult. He wanted to learn them, but where would he learn them from? Furthermore, a lot of information out there was classified and protected by each nation. An average person would have no means to get their hands on them. That had him stumped. Never mind. I'll just go with the flow. Yi Lingchen sighed, then focused on reading How to Make Up Like a Pro that he had in his hands. Self-studying How to Make Up Like a Pro, Makeup Proficiency +1. Self-studying How to Make Up Like a Pro, Makeup Proficiency +1. Self-studying How to Make Up Like a Pro, Makeup Proficiency +1. As a guy holding onto a pink-colored book, it looked weird no matter the situation. Many passers-by glanced at him, then walked away with a weird look on their faces. That was just too perverted. Taking advantage of his empty Thursday schedule, Yi Lingchen got ready to look for a house that day. Ideally, he wanted a location that was near the university and had a park nearby. That would provide him with a serene environment and make it convenient for his morning exercise routine. Fortunately, Capital University was not located in the city center, so the housing prices were still reasonable, averaging around RMB 60,000 per square meter. That was within Yi Lingchen's budget. If it were in the city center, the price would go up to RMB 100,000 per square meter. If I'm purchasing, I'll go for the best. With sufficient money, Yi Lingchen would not skimp on himself. He currently has around RMB 55 million, He could be like Xiao Feifei and purchase a villa at a decent place. In reality, that was Yi Lingchen's plan all along. Capital City was the most developed city in the country. There were numerous developers and prestigious projects were everywhere. After some simple information gathering, Yi Lingchen began to go to the showrooms for comparisons. He went through 5 sales offices. All the salespersons had given him the cold shoulder. None had come up to greet him. Even when Yi Lingchen asked any questions, he was simply given some patronizing words. Yi Lingchen did not let that go to heart. He was dressed like a student and definitely not looking like someone that could easily spend millions at a whim. Those salespersons had to be realistic and needed to support their families. Their actions were within reason. He only wanted to get a feel of the house's location and the surrounding facilities for comparison. Purchasing a house was no small matter after all. He had to pick one that he was most satisfied with. Jiahe properties that he visited earlier had decent houses, especially the row of villas by the lake. The environment was soothing and the layout looked grand. Furthermore, the amenities were well prepared. It was potentially something he would pick. Next, he planned to look at Hill Spring Residences. Hill Spring Residences was the place Yi Lingchen found most suitable. Just as the name indicated, it had hills and water. Unlike other locations, this property was built right within a park. More accurately, it was part of the park, right at its base. Within the property was a river as well. Needless to say, the environment was excellent. Furthermore, there was a train station right outside Hill Spring Residence's main gate, only 2 stations away from Capital University. The surrounding was not as crowded as the city area, yet it was not as desolate as the suburbs, making it an ideal location to stay. He walked to the sales office and just as he had expected, the salesperson had only uncaringly glanced over Yi Lingchen without bothering to greet him. Yi Lingchen entertained himself with the property's model as he carefully observed the internal layout of Hill Spring Residences. The layout of Hill Spring Residences was even better than what Yi Lingchen had imagined, with a greening rate of over 60%. There were no high-rises within the property where the majority of it was made up of villas. The worst of it was an 8-story bungalow. That was definitely an area for the affluent. The villas came in 3 styles: single-family, semi-detached, and townhouse style. The single-family villas were naturally the priciest with the best location, with choices of either lake view or mountain view. "Hey, scoot over, move aside," a cold voice erupted. A uniformed woman pushed Yi Lingchen aside with a condescending look on her face. "Don't interrupt our business." That woman had narrow eyes, pronounced cheekbones, and a slender figure. Along with her screechy voice, it gave others an impression of impoliteness. After pushing Yi Lingchen aside, that woman instantly put on a different expression. Her eyes forming a line, speaking to the customer beside her with a flattering tone. "Mr. Wang Wan, our residence has the best environment within the entire capital city. All the trees planted within are also of high quality. One could even consider this as an eco-park. Furthermore, our residence is connected to the park. It's not easy to come by." She continued to promote the benefits of the residence, then moved on to the houses. "Take a look at this bungalow with an area of 110 square meters. We're recently having an event that would allow you to have a 10% discount from the base price of RMB 7,500,000. It's a worthwhile purchase." Beside her, a couple was quietly listening to her promoting. The couple felt moved by her words yet still had some hesitations. Yi Lingchen ignored that woman. He moved on to look at Hill Spring Residence's unit models instead. The unit models looked good, and the name of Hill Spring Residences was to his liking as well. "Why don't I just buy a place here? I wonder if I have enough to get a single-family villa." After some time, a salesperson finally walked up to him. "Sir, are you looking for a house?" That sound was very familiar. Yi Lingchen's brows twitched. Turning around, he was dumbfounded. "Yunqi? Lei? Lingchen?" Zhang Yunqi's mouth was agape and had a confused look in her eyes. "Why are you here in Capital City?" asked Yi Lingchen, feeling slightly elated. Zhang Yunqi stared at Yi Lingchen, then gritted her teeth. "I felt that Beijing one had better prospects in making money, so I came here to try my luck." "You're here in Capital City, so near to me. Why didn't you let me know?" "I've just only arrived recently. I haven't had the time to contact you." Zhang Yunqi was both excited and nervous. "I also didn't want to trouble you. We've grown up from the same village. You're like half a family to me. You don't have to be so reserved." Yi Lingchen laughed. Since you're a salesperson here, that makes things easier. I'm about to purchase a house here. Purchasing a house? Zhang Yanqi's eyes popped wide open and stared at Yi Lingchen in complete surprise. Any houses sold here cost an amount that Zhang Yanqi would never dream of having. However, thinking back of that gamble Yi Lingchen did previously, Zhang Yanqi could understand why. She looked at Yi Lingchen with mixed feelings. He was too outstanding. Why don't you show me around? Of course. Zhang Yanqi nodded. Hill Spring Residences is modeled after European architecture, mostly taking inspiration from the Italian style. Apart from the internal space of the building, it also comes with additional complementary spaces such as the basement, garden, porch, and the gazebo. It seemed that Zhang Yanqi had put in quite the effort to be a salesperson. Her sales pitch was smooth. Furthermore, she did well in her studies previously, giving her clear enunciation and excellent choice of words. It made her customers feel comfortable listening to her. Along with her alluring appearance, Yi Lingchen felt that it was a waste of her talents for her to be here. However, a sudden noise cut through the room. Zhang Yanqi, what are you doing here? Have you done the dishes and laundry yet? The rude woman from earlier strode over menacingly, as she screamed at Zhang Yanqi. It would seem that she was in a bad mood, most likely due to her failure at her previous sales pitch, and was venting her frustrations on Zhang Yanqi. Doing dishes? Laundry? Yi Lingchen frowned slightly. No wonder he did not see Zhang Yanqi when he first entered. Manager Huang, it's done. Zhang Yanqi replied frightfully. Then go clean the toilet. Manager Huang snapped coldly. She then swept a glance at Yi Lingchen. Such bad eyes. To entertain this type of poor loser. What a waste of time. It's because of this jinx my fortune was blocked. Otherwise, I would have sealed that deal. What an unlucky day. Manager Huang, this is my friend and I'm just showing him around. Zhang Yanqi replied meekly. HMPH, here I was wondering where this loser came from. So it's your friend. How can a person like this afford a house here? What a joke, Manager Huang smirked. She then threw a derisive glare at Zhang Yanqi. Go clean the toilet. Make sure all the corners are clean. Yi Lingchen's expression darkened, then looked indifferently at Manager Huang and said, Yanqi is a salesperson here, not a janitor. Why are you asking her to wash the toilet? Twerp, I'm the manager here. I can have her do whatever I want. Who are you to mind my business? Manager Huang's expression turned vicious. This is no place for a beggar, get lost. You're afraid of Yanqi being outstanding and outperforming you. You're just worried that she is a threat to your position, right? Yi Lingchen scoffed. He had been reading some books on psychology, allowing him to roughly understand Manager Huang's thoughts with some simple analysis. In terms of appearance, speechcraft, and charisma, Zhang Yanqi was leagues better than Manager Huang. If she was in charge of sales, Yi Lingchen believed that many customers would sign their deals. Bullshit, Manager Huang gave him a loathsome glare. Be starred. I bet you're this bumpkin's boyfriend. Two penniless idiots. You're made for each other. Yi Lingchen could not be bothered to engage in a vitriolic exchange with that crazy woman. He pointed towards a villa. Yanqi, ignore that crazy B***tch. How much is this single-family villa? With Yi Lingchen by her side, Zhang Yanqi was not as scared and nodded. There are various locations for the single-family villas. Of these villas, the Royal Villa is the most expensive one. This other villa here has a decent location. A total of 3 stories and a building space of over 500 square meters. It comes with a free garage, basement parking, and also a basement floor's worth of complimentary space, coming to a total of RMB 42 million. Compared to a high-rise, apart from the total price is slightly higher, it was a better deal to get a villa. With all the complimentary space, it was more comfortable to live in. All in all, it was good to be rich. Alright, I'll take this villa. You go prepare the documents, Yi Lingchen said with a smile. Ah, Zhang Yanqi was shocked. Lingchen, don't you want to have a look at the unit first? Why don't I bring you there for a tour first? It's fine, Yi Lingchen shook his head. You go get the documents ready. I can pay immediately, in cash. I want the keys as soon as possible. At first, Manager Huang was still thinking of making some jabs at Yi Lingchen. However, when she heard his last statement, she was utterly flabbergasted. Her eyes then seemed to glow, looking at Yi Lingchen as if he was the god of fortune. Purchasing a single-family villa? In cash? Sir, I felt that you're special when I first laid eyes on you. Follow me, I'll settle your documents for you. With that, She pushed Zhang Yunqi away and pushed herself in front of Yi Lingchen. If she sold 1 unit, she would get a 3% commission. The price of the villas left many customers wanting but was unable to pay for it. Even if she just sold 1 unit, she would be rich. That was at least RMB 1 million straight away. That was just like a lottery ticket falling from the sky. Get lost. Yi Lingchen's face darkened. Sir, I'm sure it was some misunderstanding earlier. Please don't dwell on the past. Manager Huang's eyes turned peachy, shamelessly sticking to Yi Lingchen, trying to suck up to him. I'm besties with Yunqi. She's new here, so I'm just trying to have her gain more experience. Furthermore, I have the authority to give you a 10% discount. That's a few million there. I'll say it once more. Get lost. Yi Lingchen glared at Manager Huang, then pushed her away. Yunqi, please be my guide. Okay. Zhang Yunqi led Yi Lingchen to process the documents. Manager Huang's eyes glowed, then followed along behind them. Just as Zhang Yunqi was showing Yi Lingchen where to sign, Manager Huang suddenly came out of nowhere and pushed Zhang Yunqi aside. She had bided her time. Zhang Yunqi fell to the floor from the abrupt push. Manager Huang's eyes were filled with excitement, getting ready to sign her name as the salesperson in charge of the deal. Whoever that signed that spot would be getting the commission. Right at that moment, her wrist was caught by another hand, unable to move an inch. Are you testing my patience? Yi Lingchen's expression was extremely ugly. He then flipped her wrist forcefully backward. Crack. Accompanied by a loud crack, Manager Huang's wrist was dislocated by Yi Lingchen. Her entire body started to twist and turn from the intense pain. The excruciating pain caused her to bellow as sweat lined her forehead. I usually refrain from hitting a woman, unless they are intolerable. Just as he finished the sentence, Yi Lingchen's hand was already reaching for Manager Huang's detestable cheek. Slap. Along with a clear sound, Manager Huang's entire body flew backward. There were even teeth mixed with blood flying out from her mouth. Half her face was deformed with her mouth at an odd angle, making her even scarier. You dare hit me? You dare hit me? Manager Huang's hair was disheveled, laying on the floor like a crazy woman. She stared at Yi Lingchen with eyes that were seemingly oozed poisonous hatred. Do you know who I am? You're dead. I'll make sure you regret this. With that, she took out her phone and made a call. At that time, the people around them had also recovered from their daze with a look of horror on their faces. Damn, someone dared to hit Manager Huang. This is epic. This kid wanted to buy a villa. I think his background is not simple. You'll be wrong on that. If he had a powerful background, why would he come here personally? He could just deal directly with the developer. This kid must have just gotten rich very recently. I think he's a nouveau riche too. That little girlfriend of his beside him is obviously from a poor family. That's not good then. The nouveau rich only have money. After hitting Manager Huang, I'm afraid he will be facing some troubles. Yi Linggen ignored the crazed Manager Huang and helped Zhang Yunqi on her feet. Are you okay? I'm fine. Zhang Yunqi shook her head, then a worried expression appeared on her face. Lingchen, you should go quick. Manager Huang has the backing of the contractor of this project. He's known as Lone Wolf and has many underlings. His methods are extremely cruel and ruthless. So what? Yi Lingchen laughed it off. Rumor has it that Lone Wolf was imprisoned for 10 years for murder. He acts as he wishes as people are afraid of him. Zhang Yunqi breathed heavily, then continued. Let's go quickly. I heard that someone tried to be a holdout, refusing to move away. He then had his legs broken by Lone Wolf and thrown out of his own house. Developers naturally needed some ferocious people under their employ. This Lone Wolf was one such person that instilled fear into the people. Not only was he good at fighting, but his methods were also cruel and ruthless too. All his underlings were bad news too. Most of them were his friends back in prison. With such infamy, nobody dared to cross him. Knowing Lone Wolf backed Manager Huang, the other salespersons could not voice their disagreements as she stole countless sales commissions from them. An average person is most afraid of one thing, someone that had nothing to lose. With Lone Wolf just freshly out of prison, who dared to cross him? Twerp, I'll guarantee a horrible death for you. Manager Huang's voice was unbelievably shrill and piercing, hurting people's ears. Her face was like that of a demon, hideous and repulsive. Yi Lingchen gave her a casual glance. Yunqi, just ignore this crazy woman and continue with your documentation. Zhang Yunqi nervously nodded, then continued to process the documents for Yi Lingchen. Miss, can you help draft a contract? Yi Lingchen asked the dazed accountant sitting behind the counter. He then filled forms, swiped his card and signed the contract. You just need to bring this contract and your personal ID to the housing bureau to apply for your premises permit. The accountant respectfully passed the documents back to Yi Lingchen. Vroom. Outside, the roaring sound of engines could be heard as two cars parked directly outside the gates of the sales office. The car in the lead was a black Land Rover, followed by a white SUV. A man with a left eye patch descended from the Land Rover. He was 185 centimeters in height, had a sturdy build, and a broad face. Combined with that one-eyed look, he gave off an intimidating presence. As he only had one eye alongside having a strong thirst for vengeance, he was given the nickname of Lone Wolf. Right behind him, 10 others quickly got down from the SUV with knives in their hands. Their hair was of all sorts of colors, yellow, green, red, and the likes. All of them wore the same Shimate one hairstyle. Brother Wolf, you're finally here. Someone hit me. Manager Huang immediately ran outwards, crying as she complained in Lone Wolf's arms. Who did it? Lone Wolf's eyes gazed off an icy cold look that sent chills down the spine. The room felt a few degrees colder, which caused the surrounding folks to shake in fear. It's that B** starred. Manager Huang pointed at Yi Lingchen. A vengeful look in her eyes. You must avenge me. Remember that girl you were interested in last time? They're a couple? Lone Wolf's face darkened, a vicious look in his eyes. With a wave, his underlings quickly surrounded Yi Lingchen and Zhang Yunqi. Son of a B** tch, how dare you touch my woman? You must have a death wish. Lone Wolf walked forward step by step, approaching slowly like a fearsome tiger stalking its prey. What do you want? Yi Lingchen stared at Lone Wolf, seemingly in thought. I heard you wanted to buy a villa? You seem rich? Lone Wolf narrowed his eyes, then looked greedily at Zhang Yunqi. First, you shall kneel and apologize to my woman. Then pay us RMB 10 million for medical compensation. Moreover, you will leave that woman of yours here with me. With that, I'll let things slide. As expected of Lone Wolf, he was greedy and ruthless. Servitude, money, and women. The crowd looked at Yi Lingchen sympathetically. There was no reasoning with such people as he reasons with force rather than words. Yi Lingchen remained calm, then asked steadily, is it your idea to pick on Yunqi in the sales office? That's right, Lone Wolf sneered, admitting bluntly, this gal looks decent. I like her. I want to suppress her so that she'd be forced to beg me voluntarily. I'm a gentleman, aren't I? I didn't force her. Otherwise, she'd be already in my bed, ha ha ha. You should feel lucky you didn't do that. Otherwise, I'll guarantee you a painful death. Yi Lingchen glared at Lone Wolf with a knife-like gaze. Ha ha ha, you? Lone Wolf scoffed and laughed maniacally. It's the first time I heard someone trying to threaten me. I'll ask you one more time. What's your decision? What if I don't agree? Then I'll start with chopping your hands. Lone Wolf's voice was filled with savagery. I'll give you another 5 seconds to think about it. 5, 4. The crowd started to back off slowly, afraid of getting involved. Meanwhile, they all shook their heads and sighed as they looked at the fearless Yi Lingchen. Comment. This kid is just a student. Just like how a calf has no fear for tigers. Those that haven't stepped foot in society wouldn't understand its cruelties. To cross Lone Wolf, his life is done for. Sigh, he's still too young and doesn't know when to back off. Lone Wolf is one that has nothing to lose, such a shame. 1. After giving the last count, Lone Wolf's expression turned grisly, chop off his hands. Rustle. The 10 people surrounding Yi Lingchen acted at once, clearly experienced at it. Their faces looked vicious, and they approached Yi Lingchen quickly. The glinting steel from the knife caused the onlookers' hearts to beat faster. Yi Lingchen remained stoic, standing still on the spot. Just as the 10 almost reached him, he shifted his body to the side and raised his leg. Bang bang bang. Just like a ball, flying away with every kick. Within 5 seconds, the 10 thugs that rushed him shot over away like missiles, arcing through the air. They slammed against the walls around the building, then fell to the floor on their backs, moaning in pain. Everyone was shocked with their mouths wide open, expression frozen. That was mind-blowing. They could not believe their eyes. That scene that should only appear on TV had almost shattered their worldview, causing their mind to blank out. How is that possible? Lone Wolf's remaining eye almost popped out from its socket. He stared at Yi Lingchen as he felt his mind turn numb and a chill flowing through his entire body. Superhuman. Scary. You stay away from me. Seeing Yi Lingchen walking slowly towards him, Lone Wolf was on the verge of tears. His whole body trembled in fear. His legs were too weak to move. He stuttered, trying to put on a strong front. I'm a member of the Lu Group. If you do anything rash, Lu Group will come after you. Beside him, Manager Huang was already paralyzed by fear on the ground. She looked at Yi Lingchen in abject terror, trying to crawl away with her hands. You wanted to chop off my hands? Yi Lingchen walked up to Lone Wolf, then stretched out to grab at Lone Wolf's arms. After that, he twisted them counterclockwise. Crack! An eerie sound came from within Lone Wolf's arms. Accompanying that was Lone Wolf's howls of pain, one that turned everyone pale. Manager Huang trembled from fear and lost control of her bladder, causing the stench of urine to permeate through the air from her lower body. Ah! Lone Wolf fell to the floor rolling about. The veins on his forehead popped as his sweat drenched his clothes. His face scrounged up into a twisted mess. Both his arms dangled feebly by his sides. The bones in his arms were crushed to a fine powder by Yi Lingchen. Lu Group will surely avenge me. You'll regret this, Lone Wolf wailed in pain. Yi Lingchen simply glanced at the panic-stricken Manager Huang. With a frown on his face, he walked away in disgust. He took out his phone and called Lu Hao's number. Lu Hao quickly answered the call respectfully. Grandmaster Yi, you're looking for me? I'm currently at Hill Spring Residences. Get over here. No point asking for backup. I have contributed much to the Lu Group. They will surely avenge me. Lone Wolf stared at Yi Lingchen with seething hatred while his body writhed in pain. Yi Lingchen ignored him and just watched silently. Within 15 minutes, 3 luxury cars arrived and parked right outside the door. Without even turning off the engine, Lu Tianshang rushed down the car. His face flushed, clearly anxious. Right behind him, Lu Hao hastily rushed down the car as well. It was impossible for them to be calm. From Yi Lingchen's tone, Lu Hao could tell that something was wrong. He immediately contacted Hill Spring Residence's office and got the scare of his life. His people flipped off Yi Lingchen again? Fools? Trash. Lu Hao almost cried. He had just barely returned to Beijing 1. How is it that someone crossed Yi Lingchen again? Are they trying to get him killed? Upon seeing Lu Tianshang and Lu Hao, Lone Wolf's face was red with excitement, almost forgetting the pain he was in. He stood up with great difficulty, then ran over to meet them. Chairman, young master, I didn't expect both of you to come see me together. I can die happy now. Lone Wolf was sincerely touched. Tears filled his eyes. It was worth all those efforts and contributions I sacrificed for your Lu Group. It was all worth it. Lu Hao's face turned white as chalk immediately. Without any hesitation, he set 2 resounding slaps on Lone Wolf's face. Shut the FCK up. My Lu Group has nothing to do with you. Lone Wolf was dumbstruck, standing there in a daze. He saw Lu Tianshang and Lu Hao hurrying towards Yi Lingchen, followed by a 90-degree bow with the utmost respect. It's Lu Group's honor to have Grandmaster Yi visit our Hill Spring Residences. All that's happened here had nothing to do with us. We beg you not to misunderstand our intention. Boom. Lone Wolf was stunned. Manager Huang was stunned. Their minds were blown and faces turned ashen. I'm sure you can figure out on your own what has happened here. I can't be bothered to explain. Help me take care of these people, Yi Lingchen calmly stated, especially Lone Wolf. He did not like to leave loose ends. Lone Wolf had committed murder and was imprisoned. He was a time bomb waiting to blow. He must not be left alive. Grandmaster Yi, you can rest assured. I'll settle it for you. Lu Tianshang volunteered himself. He gave a signal and his people immediately carried Lone Wolf off. As for how Lone Wolf and his lackeys begged for mercy, Yi Lingchen paid them no heed. Seeing how Yi Lingchen had no intention of blaming the Lu Group for this incident, the Lu father and son duo finally let out a sigh of relief. Yi Lingchen nodded, then took Zhang Yunqi along as he strode out. Grandmaster Yi, the Lu father and son duo chased after him, an ingratiating smile on their faces. Yes, Grandmaster Yi, I heard that you're here to purchase a villa? Lu Tianshang asked. Yi Lingchen nodded. Grandmaster Yi, you should just let us know if you wanted a villa. Isn't it a slap to my face if you were required to pay for this? Please take this money back, Lu Tianshang said, Houses are something our Lu group have an excess of. Yi Lingchen shook his head. I've done nothing to deserve this. You're running a business. I'm the buyer, you're the seller. There's no need to give away free stuff. Then what about this? Lu Tianshang paused, then continued. I'll sell this to you at cost price. Since you were troubled in my establishment earlier, we'll just take this as an apology. What do you think? That's right, Grandmaster Yi. There's no way we can make a profit off you. Lu Hao nodded beside him. You've paid a total of RMB 42 million. Our Hill Spring Residences has a royal suite, located right in the middle of the entire residential area right beside the hill and lake. Furthermore, it's already furnished and it's ready to move in. Coincidentally, the cost for it is at RMB 42 million. Yi Lingchen had naturally looked at the royal suite. It was much better in terms of location and architecture compared to the other villa. It was also more spacious, even having its own swimming pool. Conservatively, the pricing should be more or less double of the regular villas, with a minimum price of at least RMB 70 million. Moreover, Yi Lingchen had studied feng shui. The location of the royal suite was the most auspicious. It fulfilled the criteria of being on a hillside and having a waterfront, which meant it teemed with spiritual energy. Seeing Yi Lingchen's interest, Lu Tianshang quickly added, Grandmaster Yi, only the royal suite can be worthy of your status. Please don't refuse this offer. Furthermore, we're selling it to you at cost price. It's not a free gift. In truth, this royal suite was originally reserved for the Lu family. Why else would it be fully furnished with luxurious furnishings? Yi Lingchen, of course, noticed that too. His gaze swept over the Lu family duo. If that's the case, then I shall not refuse. Seeing Yi Lingchen's acceptance, Lu Tianshang finally breathed a sigh of relief. He then carefully prodded, Grandmaster Yi, I heard that you're skilled in gambling? Yi Lingchen nodded in acknowledgement, then smiled unnaturally while looking at Lu Tianxian. Cut to the chase. Lu Tianshang laughed awkwardly. Actually, I have something that would like to ask for Grandmaster Yi's assistance. What is it? Grandmaster Yi is skilled in gambling, and I would like to hire you to help us gamble. You're in the real estate business. How's that related to gambling? Yi Lingchen's brows twitched. Oh, Grandmaster Yi, you don't know. It turned out that even though Lu Group was considered a big corporation in the country, it could only be ranked in the top 50. Compared to the top dogs, it was still very far off. To ensure a peaceful growth, these merchants had agreed on an unwritten rule, to settle the score by gambling. For example, those that place first would get the best plot of land. The bidding would just be for show, something that was already settled behind the scenes. Of course, if anyone placed last, then they would only get the worst lands, sometimes getting absolutely nothing. This rule was agreed upon by the big-name developers and merchants. It was to prevent cutthroat competition during bidding. Gambling was originally just based on luck, making it relatively fair. However, in recent years, some developers started to hire professional gamblers from all over the world to help them. That changed the factor from luck to skill, greatly increasing competitiveness. However, the Lu Group had difficulty finding a skilled gambler and was greatly handicapped. The situation worsened and the gap with their competitors grew, some even outperforming them. They were growing anxious. As for them being acquainted with Li Si, it was in hopes for Li Si to keep an eye on skilled gamblers. Who would have expected that Li Si would be eliminated by Yi Lingchen in one go? Where is the gamble? Yi Lingchen asked. At the city of gamblers, Las Vegas, Lu Tianshang exclaimed. Then added, at that time, each merchant will prepare RMB 10 million worth of chips. The one with the most chips in the end will be the champion. If Grandmaster Yi agrees to help, we will bear the cost of losing while you can keep all the winnings. Yi Lingchen gave Lu Tianshang a weird look and took a moment to consider. He was interested. The merchants taking part would be the top dogs of the country. With a conservative estimate, there should be at least 50 groups. If every group's chips were similarly worth RMB 10 million, then that's a total of RMB 500 million. If he took part and won all RMB 500 million, that would all belong to him, making him a billionaire in an instant. As a prodigy, Yi Lingchen treated money as dirt. Surely he would not place much importance on a meager sum of RMB 500 million. However, it was better to have it than not. Oftentimes, money represented power. With money, he could have the power to better protect himself. Yi Lingchen wanted to get stronger quickly as he was scared. He was a man with a system. being stuck in the developing stage, were he ever exposed, that would surely make him public enemy number one. How could he not be afraid? Only when he was unbeatable could he secure the system. Alright, I accept, Yi Lingchen nodded, then stressed again. Remember your promise. I keep my winnings. I'm not in for the money. I just like to keep my promises. There was still over a month before the promised date. Yi Lingchen told them to contact him when the time comes. He then brought Zhang Yunqi along and headed towards his new house. The location of the royal suite was excellent. They went through a shaded path, passed through two red wooden bridges before seeing a villa with a red roof appear before them. Unlike other villas, this villa had its own field. The front yard and garden were huge. It was like a scene in a painting. Rustic, scenic, and peaceful one. Entering the villa, the decor followed the modern Chinese style. Furnitures were fully equipped, all made with top-quality redwood to help maintain a constant temperature and humidity. It was an excellent environment to live in. The first floor's living room was hollow with a height of at least 5 meters. A huge gold chandelier was hung in the center of the room, grand and elegant. The stairs were made of wood in a spiral design with an elevator at its core. Elegant, impressive, and grandiose. Yi Lingchen smiled in satisfaction. It was ready for him to move in immediately. That would save him a lot of trouble. If it were any other villa, it would have to go through renovations. That would mean at least another year before he could move in, which was an inconvenience. Zhang Yunqi stood dumbfounded at the door. She was stunned by the overwhelming luxury of such a sight, not daring to even take a step inside. In her mind, only castles in a fairy tale could be a match for this place. It took her some time to muster her courage before she finally stepped foot inside. Lingchen, you're amazing, Zhang Yunqi sighed in resignation as she checked out the villa. This house, a dream house for so many people, was so easily purchased by Yi Lingchen. Yunqi, this will be my home in the future. At my place, you don't have to be so reserved, Yi Linggen said with a smile. Zhang Yunqi nodded in acknowledgement. Right then, her phone vibrated. A total of RMB 1,260,000 was transferred into her bank account. With some simple deduction, she realized that it was her commission for this unit that Yi Lingchen purchased. Lu Group dared not hold on to Zhang Yunqi's money, transferring the money to her almost immediately as it was processed. Lingchen, this is the money you paid for your unit. I'll transfer it to you. Since it's your commission, then it's yours. Just keep it well. No way. Lingchen, are you pitying me, thinking that I'm useless and always bullied? Zhang Yunqi asked indignantly. She was biting her lips with teary eyes. Her attitude was firm, insisting on transferring the money to Yi Lingchen. Such a stubborn girl. Yi Lingchen felt helpless. Zhang Yunqi had an extremely strong character. From when she first started schooling, she had always fought for first place. Unfortunately, fate seemed to like joking with her, taking away her chance to attend school at the most critical of time. Furthermore, Zhang Yunqi was a stunning beauty. Most of the time, beauty is a sin. If one had that power, that was fine, but without it, one would only be bullied. With Zhang Yunqi's appearance, it should be easy to rise up the ranks, but at the same time, it was also almost impossible. Zhang Yunqi was not one to submit easily, therefore landing her in the latter situation. From her experience at the sales office, one could tell that she would be the center of attention wherever she went. Yunqi, what do you plan to do next? Yi Lingchen asked suddenly. I was thinking of looking around for companies that are hiring, Zhang Yunqi sighed. She only had her high school diploma. What kind of job could she get in capital city? How about this? Yi Lingchen smiled as he formulated a plan in his mind. I'll keep that RMB 1,260,000 with you. On top of that, I'll transfer another RMB 3,240,000 to you, totaling up to RMB 4,500,000 as an investment to start a store that you run for me? Lingchen, you don't have to do this. I can do it on my own. Yunqi, I'm not helping you. I want to start up a store. Do you think I'll be working for someone else after I graduate? Yi Lingchen continued. That's why I want to start a store now. Isn't it better to directly be a boss right after I graduate? Zhang Yunqi went silent. Yi Lingchen's reasoning made sense. Yunqi, I'm still a student. My time is limited. In capital city, I only have you as someone I can trust. You must help me. Yi Lingchen struck while the iron is hot. I'm only investing, but you're putting in the effort. All the administrative work will be done by you alone. We'll each be taking a 50% cut of the profit. When Zhang Yunqi heard that she was the only one Yi Lingchen could trust, she was secretly happy. 50% is too much. I'm just a worker. You can just pay my salary. That won't do. I'm just sitting at the counter but you're doing all the work. What about 40/60ths? I'll take a little more. If you refuse this anymore I'll look for someone else. Yi Lingchen paused. Then changed to a pitiful tone. Hopefully they won't run away with my money. How can you trust a stranger? Zhang Yunqi was agitated, biting her lips. Fine, I accept. Then that's a deal. Yi Lingchen laughed out loud. I'll transfer the money to you right away. We'll leave the store location and recruitment to you then. But, what store are we running? Zhang Yunqi frowned. I've decided on that. It'll be a cosmetic store, Yi Lingchen exclaimed. Even the name is set. We'll call it Y Cosmetics. I plan to create the world's #1 cosmetics brand. Y Cosmetics? What kind of name was that? It did not sound like a name that could become the world's leading brand in cosmetics. Zhang Yunqi was flabbergasted. Don't you think that name lacked thought? Definitely not. We'll go with that. Yi Lingchen nodded his head firmly. But, I'm clueless when it comes to cosmetics, Zhang Yunqi said while blushing embarrassingly. She was struggling financially. Other than some moisturizers, she had never touched other cosmetics, much less help others with makeup. That's fine. You're a girl. You're born with a natural talent for makeup. Moreover, you have me. I'll teach you. Yi Lingchen thumped his chest. Why you know about makeup? Zhang Yunqi stared at Yi Lingchen, stupefied. You're good at studying, fine. You're good at martial arts, fine. You're good at gambling, that's fine too. Now you're FC King telling me you're skilled at makeup too? Yi Lingchen and Zhang Yunqi went through some details of the store's opening. They decided to open it near Capital University. By chance, it was located in a campus town, so opening a cosmetic store there would ensure a steady flow of customers. Apart from that, Yi Lingchen had also recommended some books on the fundamentals of makeup to Zhang Yunqi for her to learn the basics. She had to at least understand the types of cosmetics and their functions. Women had an undeniable talent in that area, allowing Zhang Yunqi to grasp the basics very quickly. However, then she saw the price tag of the products. Her entire body went stiff. A tiny bottle of face cream costs over 1,000. Other than that, there were eye cream, makeup remover, sunblock lotion, and the likes that also cost a hefty sum. It was the same as burning money. She could not deny the fact that her lack of wealth limited her imagination. The sky darkened as time passed. Yi Lingchen took Zhang Yunqi along to a simple restaurant for a celebratory meal for his store's future. He then sent Zhang Yunqi back to her quarters. Zhang Yunqi's quarters had two outstanding traits. It was dilapidated, and the rent was cheap. It was a very old apartment complex. Zhang Yunqi stayed in the basement, the type that had no exposure to sunlight all year long. It was dark and damp with only roughly 30 square meters. It was more accurate to describe it as a prison cell than a place to stay. Yi Lingchen did not even consult Zhang Yunqi. He immediately ended her tenancy and took her luggage out of there. You're staying with me. Without waiting for her reply, he immediately continued, with such a big house, I'll need someone to take care of it, right? Since you're my employee already, you might as well be my part-time nanny. That will save me the trouble of hiring someone else. Nowadays it'll cost at least RMB 10,000 per month to hire a nanny. Rooms were something a villa had in excess of after all. Zhang Yunqi could not say no and only pouted in silence. At 7 p.m., Yi Lingchen started his stream in his room. Not only was the internet smooth, it was multiple times better than the internet cafe. Most importantly, it was a better environment. Furthermore, the computer was top of the line too. All in all, one word could be used to describe this. Awesome. After the stream, he went directly to bed. Such comfort. I knew it. It's much more comfortable to have my own house. The next day, by the time Yi Lingchen returned from his morning exercise routine, Zhang Yunqi had already prepared breakfast. There was no toast and milk, but instead a simple villager's meal. A bowl of noodles with a fried egg. It tasted good despite the simplicity. That morning, Zhang Yunqi was wearing some casual house clothes with an apron around her waist. She had not applied any makeup, yet she looked prettier than those women with heavy makeup, giving off a sense of spirituality between her brows. However, Yi Lingchen frowned slightly at the sight. Yunqi, by chance I have no classes this morning. Why don't we go buy you some clothes? Buy clothes? My clothes are still fine. Since we're opening a store, You'll naturally need to dress better to gain the trust of our customers. Yi Lingchen then said with a smile, it is an expense within our store's budget. You don't have to feel bad about it. Kaiyuan Complex. As one of the biggest shopping complexes in capital city, it has countless elites visiting the complex. From managerial positions to country leaders, that was the first choice when it came to shopping for clothes. The reason being that it was the location with the biggest collection of luxury brands. It covered products for all levels of society, from the commoners to elites. Vati was one of China's affordable luxury brands. With Yi Lingchen's studious nature, he had read through several fashion magazines as well, allowing him to identify that particular brand. He did not look at foreign brands as he wanted to support local brands. Although Vati was not comparable to the best of luxury brands like Dior and Coach, it was still considered one of the name brands. He helped Zhang Yunqi select a number of clothes. Although many of them were elegant and classy, Yi Lingchen still felt slightly dissatisfied. It was most likely due to him reading too many fashion magazines, causing him to have an elevated fashion sense. Yi Lingchen felt helpless. As his knowledge increased, it inadvertently changed him bit by bit. Although he did not specifically study fashion design, his proficiency had already reached 65%. With that, it was natural for him to have a fastidious fashion sense. As expected of a top-of-the-line luxury goods store, Vati's internal decorations looked elegant and grand. The walls and roof were gold, while the surroundings were lined with mirrors. The first impression they got was that this was a high-class and luxurious place. Clothes, bags, and shoes were displayed on the racks, all of them giving off a sense of elegance. Sir, madam, how may I be of assistance? In a luxury store, the most impressive aspect was their service. Each sales assistant was specially trained, giving them an impeccable attitude when it came to attending to a customer. Please hand me that item first, Yi Lingchen requested calmly. Zhang Yunqi, who was tagging along behind him, felt rather nervous, especially when she saw the price tags on the clothes, immediately turning her face white. RMB 8,800. It was only a few pieces of cloth, how could it be that pricey? She unwittingly looked at Yi Lingchen. Go try it quick. This time you better not run away again. Yi Lingchen said with a smile. Earlier when Zhang Yunqi saw one of the clothing being priced at RMB 15,000, she put down the clothes and immediately dashed out of the store. That put him in an awkward spot. When Zhang Yunqi walked out with the freshly changed clothes, the originally glorious shop seemed to have turned dull. It was as though she was the only person in the world that remained. Elegant, graceful, impressive. Such a beauty. With that many traits converging into one person, it forced everyone around her to stare with wide-open eyes. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. Some were even breathing heavily, and faint salivating noises could be heard. Angel, it's an angel! At that moment, a bald man exclaimed in surprise. His eyes glowed brightly when he stared at Zhang Yunqi. He then rushed forward and showered her with praises loudly. This lady, I guarantee that you're the most beautiful woman I've seen. No, you're a goddess. This clothing is a perfect match for you. Zhang Yunqi did not even bat an eye at him, but turned her gaze towards Yi Lingchen and asked meekly, Lingchen, how is it? I think it's too expensive. Yi Lingchen frowned. It was undeniable that this clothing was a nice fit for Zhang Yunqi, but Yi Lingchen still felt that something was missing. It's fine, but I feel that the design of this clothing still has some problems, Yi Lingchen said quietly. He planned to buy it then make some adjustments to the shortcomings at home. Nonsense. That bald man was agitated, pointing and shouting at Yi Lingchen, Vati's designer is the best in our country. Just say so if you can't afford it. Don't spew such bullshit excuses, you bumpkins are funny. That's right. How can you mock Vati's design? What a joke. Pretty lady, your boyfriend is a failure, trying to act tough when he can't afford to make the purchase. This is the typical behavior of a douchebag. You should leave him while you can. Pretty lady, this clothing is a perfect match for you. Let's be friends and I'll buy it for you as a gift. Pretty lady, young men love to use flattering words but they can't be trusted. Just let me know what you like. Money is all I have. You just need to be my dinner date. In an instant, Yi Lingchen turned into public enemy number one for all the men in the hall while Zhang Yunqi was the princess that was sought after by all. Those men were all obsessed, throwing away all their morals from their lust. Even their girlfriends beside them were pushed aside immediately. In their heart, Yi Lingchen was just a poor loser. What gave him the right to be worthy of a goddess such as Zhang Yunqi? Facing all those yearning gazes in such a situation gave Zhang Yunqi a huge scare. It caused her to run and she held on to Yi Lingchen. Envy. Those guys were all going crazy. They stared intently at Yi Lingchen, hoping to be in his place. Yi Lingchen stood there calmly consoling Zhang Yunqi. Although this piece has some flaws, it's still a good match for you. Just keep it on. Then, he bought it. The crowd around him stared at Yi Lingchen with dubious looks. No matter how they looked at him, he did not look like someone that could take out that much money. Was he bluffing? Following that, they saw Yi Lingchen going forward and started pointing, this, and this. The crowd started snickering. The bald man scoffed, twerp, drop the act. Those you chose were all the cheapest in the store. These clothes are not worthy of this pretty lady. Pretty lady, your boyfriend is too poor. If you follow him, you'll be suffering your whole life, someone added. Stop choosing those low-class clothes. I won't let such a beautiful goddess try those demeaning pieces. Yi Lingchen ignored them, then told the salesperson, exclude the designs I picked earlier. Apart from those, get each other designs with sizes according to the one she just tested. The crowd thought they had misheard, stupidly staring at Yi Lingchen. Sir, you want to purchase all the items in the store? The salesperson was similarly stupefied, trying to clarify with him. Yi Lingchen nodded in acknowledgement. The selections in a luxury store were limited to begin with, so Yi Lingchen had just removed all the lower-end clothes and bags. He planned to take everything else. He's buying all of them? The expressions of those guys froze on their faces. Their mouths were agape, at a loss for words. There were clothes, bags, and shoes, totaling up to at least 100 different designs. If each cost him RMB 10,000, that would already be RMB 1 million. Insane. They had $1 million with them of course, but to spend $1 million in one go, that was beyond their imagination. Sir, are you sure? The salesperson confirmed once again. I'm sure. Yi Lingchen replied nonchalantly, although most of the designs here are slightly flawed, it's still better than the other stores. I'll be able to make the adjustments. That's quite the claim. With a loud scoff, a middle-aged man wearing a light gray shirt walked out. He wore a pair of gold-trimmed glasses, black leather shoes, and a matching light-colored suit. From the way he matched the colors, one can tell he was very particular. Oh God, is that Grandmaster Jia? Body's lead designer, Jia Di? He's actually in the store? I can't believe I'm able to meet Grandmaster Jia. The heavens are good to me. That kid dared to mock Body's design. That's slapping Grandmaster Jia in the face, fool. The entire Vati store got into a ruckus. Jia Di, one of Vati's lead designers. He had a high social standing and was considered a grandmaster in the field of design. For Vati to achieve such fame and widespread acceptance was a testament to Jia Di's ability. As of then, to think that someone dared to mock his design, that was a blatant provocation to his face. His greatest goal in life was to design clothing that people liked. That was why, apart from designing, he would occasionally visit the stores. When he witnesses the smiles of satisfaction on the customers' faces while wearing clothes that he designed, he would feel a sense of fulfillment. However, that day, he ran into Yi Lingchen. He could not hold back and had to clarify the matter. Kid, you're my customer, so I won't make things difficult for you. Jia Di pushed his glasses, then said in a serious tone, however, you can't just humiliate my design. I demand an apology. I'm just telling the truth. If I've offended you in any way, please forgive me. Yi Lingchen replied calmly. Is this kid's brain working? That's an apology? Provocation. Definitely a provocation, to humiliate Grandmaster Jia like that. He's going all the way. Jia Di's expression turned dark and huffed. Oh, may I know what's the flaw in my design? Please show me. We'll use the one that Zhang Yunqi is wearing right now as an example. Yi Lingchen pointed at the strip of cloth hanging on Zhang Yunqi's back. This strip is redundant. Not only does it do nothing, it brings the overall quality down. If you took this strip and make it part of the seam, it will surely look better. Jia Di frowned, lost in his thoughts. Yi Lingchen however just continued. The problem with this pair of shoes is the color matching. You have inserted 5 stones of different colors on it. The colors are too loud. On average, 3 colors is the limit. It will look better if you remove the green and blue stones. Then this bag over here, the color is too plain. Furthermore, it's a dull gray color. If not for the Vati branding, I'm afraid this will never sell. There's also this, you can fix that. That one there, you can change this. Yi Lingchen was going on, randomly picking out an item and pointing out flaw after flaw. The entire Vati storefront was criticized to the point of being worthless, filled with flaws. After 10 consecutive questions, Yi Lingchen waved his hand. That's too many questions, so I won't bother explaining one by one. Everyone was looking at Yi Lingchen with disbelief. They had a hard time understanding the underlying meanings, but that did not stop them from feeling respect for him. That just seemed amazing, right? Jia Di stood there dumbstruck, stunned on the spot. His eyes were unfocused, mumbling to himself, repeating what Yi Lingchen just told him. He quickly walked up to the pair of shoes, then proceeded to cover up the green and blue stone while he observed it up close. Amazing, absolutely amazing. He looked at Yi Lingchen as though he was a saint, tears flickering in his eyes. Grandmaster, you're the true Grandmaster. May I know how I should address you, Grandmaster? Jia Di asked respectfully. I'm Yi Lingchen. So it's Grandmaster Yi. Jia Di was excited. It's my honor to have the chance to receive Grandmaster Yi's guidance. May I know if Grandmaster Yi is interested in being a designer here? Whoa! The crowd turned tumultuous. They stared at Yi Lingchen in confusion, unable to follow the sudden turn of events as though it was a novel. Was that a joke? I'm not interested, Yi Lingchen rejected firmly. Let's settle the bill. I'm in a hurry. How can I charge Grandmaster Yi for this? Your guidance was priceless. Your presence here is already an honor for our brand. From now on, your purchases here are free. Jia Di offered generously. This is just a token of appreciation as your student. Please don't reject this gift. Only an expert could solve all those issues with such efficiency. That was a well-hidden expert. He had to butter up to him. Those clothes may be expensive to others, but to Jia Di, they were just a few pieces of cloth. Okay, Yi Lingchen nodded, not planning to act reserved with him. This person is passionate about fashion design. No wonder he climbed his way up to the lead designer position. Seeing Yi Lingchen's acceptance of his gift, Jia Di got even more excited. Whenever Yi Lingchen visits in the future, his simple guidance would be sufficient for him to use for his career. He might even be able to achieve his dream of going international. Of all the internationally renowned luxury brands, none of them were from China. That was like humiliation for him. Yi Lingchen turned around, looking at the dumbfounded crowd and announced, "Are you guys staying here to continue showing off? Would you like to have a little competition with me?" Those people had ugly expressions. Unable to come up with a retort, they all left disappointedly. Unable to compare in wealth, much less talent, that's a freaking monster. Are youngsters these days so scary? How to compete for girls? This competition is just too strong. With Zhang Yunqi to help him with logistics, Yi Lingchen saved himself a lot of trouble. Zhang Yunqi could cook, clean, and make sure everything was in order. When it came to opening the store, she was also very dedicated and careful. Within that period, she kept an eye on good locations and had meetings with owners to discuss the pricing. Furthermore, she dedicated all her time to learn all she could about cosmetics. To her, this venture was one of the biggest things in her life. She dared not take it lightly. On Saturday, Yi Lingchen notified Zhang Yunqi that he was headed to Hengdian Studios by himself. He preferred to avoid trouble, but that did not mean that he was afraid of it. Since he had promised Shi Lei a movie, he would suppress him with all his might. Otherwise, that would be a mockery to his status as a prodigy. He felt confident about the Huo Yuanjia movie. Regardless of martial arts, characters, or the action scenes, they were all epic. Huo Yuanjia, born in a generation of patriotic master martial artists. In recent times where martial arts were trending, it would surely make a great impact. After getting onto the bus to Hengdian Studios, Yi Lingchen called Li Tai to schedule an appointment. Just as he arrived at Hengdian Studios, Li Tai was already waiting to greet him at the main gate. Upon seeing Yi Lingchen, Li Tai immediately went forward to welcome him respectfully. He did not forget how impressive Yi Lingchen was back in Grand Capital Restaurant. This type of person was not one that he could afford to offend. When the crowd saw Li Tai, they were excited and expectant. They looked around, hoping to be noticed by Li Tai and soar to stardom. When they realized that Li Tai was only there to welcome someone, it shook them to the core. Who was it that was deemed as such an important guest? The area had long been secured by bodyguards. They pushed the crowd aside, allowing Yi Lingchen at the front to walk inside. Li Tai had already prepared the lobby in advance. What Yi Lingchen did not expect was that Xiao Feifei waited there too. I know you want to make a movie. I had Li Tai notify me, Xiao Feifei announced, then volunteered herself, it's your first movie. Why don't you just let me play a role in your movie? Sister Feifei, are you that worried about my movie? Yi Lingchen laughed bitterly. Xiao Feifei was only trying to help him. What's wrong with our friendship? You wouldn't be rejecting me a role now, would you? Xiao Feifei asked mischievously. It's not that I don't want to. It's just this movie that is not suitable for Sister Feifei. You've changed. You're not the Yi Lingchen that I knew. Yi Lingchen was speechless. While they were chatting, Yi Lingchen suddenly looked over to Li Tai. Director Li, would you be interested in making a movie? Li Tai's expression changed slightly and asked with uncertainty in his voice, Young Master Yi, are you trying to? Yi Lingchen nodded. If you're willing, I plan to leave this movie to you. To produce a movie required a lot of attention to details. There were too many things to learn. What he needed was not just one person, but instead a whole crew. Yi Lingchen knew that he could not recruit his own crew in such short notice, nor did he have the energy to do so. His plan had always been to find someone to direct the movie. Li Tai was without a doubt a very good choice. Me? Li Tai stared at Yi Lingchen with a surprised look on his face, at a loss of how to react. He had always been the director of TV series. That status was far from one of a movie director. Although he had been trying to venture into movies, he was hindered by reality and the lack of good scripts, making it difficult for him to achieve his dream. However, Yi Lingchen was now offering him the chance to direct a movie? It would be a lie to say that he was not feeling excited. At the same time, he also felt conflicted. Directing a movie might not be a good thing. If it went well, he would soar to the clouds. If it flopped, then it might ruin his career for good. As the first movie of his life, its importance was beyond any doubt. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Li Tai looked at Yi Lingchen. I dare ask young Master Yi, what do you think of this movie? I have faith in this movie. As long as you agree, I'll guarantee that you won't regret it, Yi Lingchen said confidently, then added, apart from that, I will also invest RMB 10 million in this movie as an investor. Li Tai's breathing suddenly quickened. The resources required to produce a movie was much higher than that of a TV series. That was a very big issue for them. However, Yi Lingchen just took out RMB 10 million directly. Lingchen, be honest with me. Are you just trying to spite Shi Lei? Xiao Feifei could not hold back her urge to ask and spouted the question with a serious face. If it's just to spite him, it was not worth it. It would be a stupid move. Sister Feifei, I can guarantee that I'm not. Yi Lingchen gave Xiao Feifei a sincere look. I have never thought anything of Shi Lei. He's not worthy to be my opponent. His claims were big, causing everyone's heart to skip a beat. Alright, I'll take this movie, Li Tai announced through gritted teeth. To him, this was a chance. He must venture into the movie industry. Director Li, that's the spirit. Yi Lingchen smiled gently. Here's the script. I guarantee that you won't regret it. The script is done? Li Tai was taken aback. The core of movie production was in the script. Was that too careless? With the script, the filming progress will be much faster, Yi Lingchen said nonchalantly. That was almost sufficient to have a showdown with Shi Lei. He needed a complete victory. Li Tai flipped through the script. His crew and Xiao Feifei too huddled over, slowly going through the script. The dialogues in the script, plot progression, and character expressions were all very detailed. It was not long, only totaling 12 pages. With that, everyone was immersed in it. Around an hour later, they finally put down the script, savoring the aftertaste of the story. They then stared at Yi Lingchen with an incredulous look. Director Li, this script. It's flawless. Little Li exclaimed in a trembling voice. He was the chief screenwriter in Li Tai's crew. He had been a screenwriter for various TV series. At the same time, he too had done his research on movie screenwriting as he wanted to push towards the movie industry. Seeing Yi Lingchen's script at that moment shook him to the core. Even he had felt his blood boiling from the action scenes in the script. Within the script, it was not only about martial arts, but more towards the philosophy of martial arts. What is martial arts? What defines a martial artist? Young Master Yi, are you having me direct such an excellent script? Li Tai asked skeptically. Even without little Li's reminder, Li Tai's face was already flushed with excitement. Previously he was worried that the script might be bad. As of now, He felt that the script was too good, to the extent that he could not believe his luck. Yi Lingchen nodded. Are you confident in making a good movie? Yes, of course. A movie from such a script will be a classic, Li Tai replied excitedly with bright glowing eyes, as though seeing the title of the movie director waving its hands at him. Young Master Yi, things will be much easier with the script. Let's hit the iron while it's hot. I'll start recruiting actors and start filming. Li Tai was even more impatient than Yi Lingchen, filled with fighting spirit.